Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the live lesson. In fact, this is the last live classroom that we're going to have until the very end of July. At the absolute soonest, it'll be July 28th, I think. But it could be the beginning of August, depending on how things go, depending on how my jet lag is, because I'm going to be coming back from Korea right then. So we'll see how it goes. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. Uki Bear, you're in Spain? You left the UK and went to España, I think is how they say it over there. I'm pretty close, something like that is how they pronounce it. Welcome. Jenny D, Stella's mom, Flo Purdy. I think I saw another member. That's right. If your name is in green, that means you are one of my beloved members who helps to support this channel from their wallet, which is very, very helpful to me. Say it so bluntly. Yeah, welcome everyone. We're going to get started with the lesson right at the top of the hour at 2 o'clock here in Los Angeles time. It's not going to be Los Angeles time though for very, very much longer because I'm going to Korea at the beginning of next month. Yes, so that means today, this live class we have is the last live class until the very, very, very end of July. If we're lucky and I can start it that soon, it might end up being in early August, but it's the last class for a few months because I can't do these live classes while I'm in Korea. So I'm going to be in Korea for the summer. That means we might do another fan meetup if I can figure out where to do it this time. I'm going to be filming some new collabs, meeting some new people, meeting some old people, as well as meeting some, I don't know, just filming whatever I want over there. Film some new videos with my kid as well. Welcome, Hopegate. And so I'm looking forward to having a fun time in Korea. But again, I'm going to be going next month at the beginning of the month. So this is the last live classroom for a few months. Oh, no. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be my last live stream. I'm still trying to make plans to do some streams while I'm over there. Maybe I'll be walking around. I'll do something while I'm in Korea. I would like to try to do a live stream once a month, but we'll see how that goes. That's still kind of a bit ambitious because usually it ends up being on a weekend and I'm usually busy on weekends, but we'll see. Anyway, welcome to everyone here who is watching from Korea right now. Is there anyone who's in Korea watching this stream? Let me know in the chat. Or if you're from a different country, let me know. Bill Sigler says we're leaving for Seoul on the 4th. Nice. Maybe you'll see me at the airport, leaving the airport. Or maybe you won't. I don't know. Let's see. Leontine? I don't know how to say that. Do you say going to Seoul next Thursday? Wow, awesome. Hi from Sweden. Emma, welcome from Sweden. I see a few other people were already mentioning where they're from. I think I missed some of those when I first came in. Let me scroll up and read those. Let's see. California, India, Poland, Canada, South Africa, Uzbekistan, Indiana, Mexico, Ukraine, or Ukraine, I think it's pronounced, right? I think that's exactly how they say it. Egypt, Spain, scrolling down, seeing if I missed it. Nigeria, United States. Wow, where's that? I'm from the US, so I don't know. Our geography is terrible. Where is the US? Uganda. Uganda. I know very little about Uganda. And 100% of what I know about Uganda, I think is, what was that? Some meme that was on the internet that was pretty popular a while ago. I don't know anything about Uganda. Seems like a cool place though, from what I know. Let's see. Where else do we have? Denmark, Netherlands. Sorry, I'm looking over here because these are the stuff that I missed that didn't show up on my tablet. Okay, now let's check here. Oh, wow. Hey, wait, I got a donation. From our Yuri Takanim, our glass artist. Wow. A $50 donation from Glass Artist. I'm going to read your... Actually, let me give you your dabs before I read your donation, just so I can get those out of the way so I don't forget. Let's get some music. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's $1 per dab, so I got to do 40 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at the halfway mark. It's getting pretty difficult. Oh, I got to play some more music. 1, 2, 3, 4, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 35, 6, 7, 8, 39, 40. Switch arms again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 45, 6, 7, 8, 9. 50. 50 dabs. There you go. I hope you're happy, glass artist. Okay, now let's read your message. No dabs required. Think you could have told me that sooner? 선생님 안녕하세요 십니까? Yes. 안녕하세요 십니까 is not something that you want to tell Koreans. They'll think you had a stroke or something. Now, saying 안녕 hey 하세요 like that, like not knowing if you should add it and messing up, that can be kind of a humorous thing, like forgetting the 요 at the end, like something 뭐 했어 요, like correcting yourself. That's fine. Koreans will do that too sometimes to be humorous, or if they accidentally say something like that. But yeah, 안녕하세요 십니까 is it's your own thing. It's a glass artist language special phrase. Have a great trip and a bit of food and coffee on me. Thank you. I will get my first meal in Korea with that. In fact, my first meal in Korea, I'm hoping it's going to be either jjajangmyeon and 탕수육, or there is a lady at a department store, kind of like a shopping center, sort of a food. In there, they have like a food court that's not too far from where I'll be staying. And for legitimately $10, it is so much tteokbokki. You can, I finished it, and my stomach hurt for the entire rest of the day. It was so much tteokbokki and the 튀김, like the fried stuff, and sundae also, and a small bowl of udon, I think, as well, and there was something else. Anyway, yeah, it was all that. It was so much food, man. It was really cheap, so I'm gonna go there again as well. Aniki, welcome. Okay, let's see where else everyone's watching from. Sweden, Philippines. You know, I kind of realized this a few weeks ago, but I really like Filipino food. I guess I always have, but like I realized it when I finally went to Jollibee, the fried chicken chain. I went to there for the first time since I was a teenager, since I was probably like 14. And that was the last time I'd gone there. I never had anything there. I just had like, they used to have this, I think it was like a melon flavored boba slushy that they used to sell there back, 25 years ago. And I never even tried their chicken, but I finally tried it a few weeks ago, and I was like, this is incredible. This is so good. You know what? I think I really like Filipino food. That was my conclusion I came to after having it. Dominican Republic, South America, Iran, Poland, France, as of course, watching from France. You're always watching from France. It's a little bit suspicious, but I'll look the other way. Colombia. Another person from France. Man, France is a big country. There are at least 2 people in there. Let's see. Texas. Watching from Texas. Apparently there's an In-N-Out dupe restaurant called Cry Cheeseburger. Yes, that's right. Cry Cheeseburger is a In-N-Out copycat restaurant in Korea. I have never tried it, but my friends have tried it and they said it is not In-N-Out. But if you look at photos, it legitimately looks like In-N-Out. Everything except their fries, which are crinkle cut. I hate crinkle cut fries. Nothing screams purchased from the supermarket freezer like crinkle cut fries, and they're just not that good. I don't like the texture of those, the sharp cut ones. I'll eat them because they're fries. They're okay. If I pick my tier list of French fries, those are going to be on the bottom, on F tier. Let's see. But yeah, I've never tried it, but I heard it's not as good as In-N-Out. In fact, I've also heard the same thing about the Five Guys that's in Korea that opened in Gangnam. I haven't been there either, but I'd like to. But I also heard that it's like mid. It's not that good, and that you'll notice that it's not American Five Guys. I haven't tried it though, so I can't confirm if that's true or not. But I have tried the Shake Shack that's in Gangnam, and I can easily say it was the worst hamburger I've ever had in my entire life. And that's a big thing to say because I've had a lot, like I grew up in the US, I've had lots of bad hamburgers. I've been to McDonald's more times than I care to admit, but it was bad. So it might have just been my order though, but I've heard from other people also, they said it's not as good. And then I've heard it's really good in the US. I've never tried it here, but my only experience was in Korea, and it was just very, I guess for comparison, it tasted like something I could have made myself with just a patty and a bun. Like it wasn't bad in the fact that I couldn't eat it. It was gross. It was bad in the fact that like I expect something better for how much you have to pay for it. In that way, it was F tier. Not in an actual disgusting way. It was good. It just wasn't anything like it should have been. In that way, I'd say it's the worst I've ever had. Hey, Aniki again in a currency I don't know, but thank you so much for converting that to US dollars for my American brain. 조심히 갔다 오세요. To Korea, thank you so much for wishing me a safe trip to Korea, as well as to come back. That's one thing fun about Korea is in English, we will tell someone, go have a nice trip, or we'll tell someone like, go to the store and buy something, or you get out of here. But in Korea, they typically don't say go somewhere. They actually mean go. They actually say go and come back, which is kind of funny because, like, of course, when you tell someone go to the grocery store to buy you something, you mean go and then come back and give it to me. But in Korea, you say it. You actually say 다녀와요, 다녀오세요. Like, go there and come back. Or 갔다 오다. Literally to go there and do everything. And then when you're finished, then come back. So yeah, in Korea, they'll say go and come. Thank you, Aniki. I'll give you 5 dabs on here, or I guess it's 5.36 dabs. I'm not sure how I can get the 0.06 in there. I can try to do 0.3 though. So like a full dab, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 full dabs right there. But then we need to get a 0.36. I can get to 0.3 pretty easily. Like the full dab motion, let's go 1, right there is like 0.3. 0.6 maybe here. This might be a 0.35. I apologize. But it's as close as I can get. Thank you, Aniki. My Patihaja screen is still on. I don't care. It's intentional. I did that on purpose, and I'm gonna intentionally turn it off right now. Yeah. So, where is everyone else watching from? Aria says hi from Iran. Nice. Iran, another country that would be awesome if I could visit it someday. I just yeah. I want to go to a lot of different places, but I haven't been able to travel too much. Usually I spend all my money to go to Korea, which I should be grateful for, right? Because who gets to go to Korea every single year? Sometimes twice a year, really. But as a result, I don't get to go anywhere else. So I would like to sometimes visit some other places. Another person from France. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's not like France, it's France. I think that's the more accurate way to pronounce it. Let me know if I can tune that a little bit to be even better. Another person from Texas, Michigan, Nashville, home of the Nashville. You have that chicken, right? KFC sells it. KFC's version is not that good. But it gives you the idea that there's something good hidden there. Like it could be really good if an actual person made it. Hello from Turkey. That's right. It's not Turkey anymore. It's Turkey. California. Welcome. Dutch, the Netherlands. Yes. Mississippi, New York. Where can one watch Korean dubbed SpongeBob? They have it. I'm not sure if they currently have it right now, but originally the service Yanadu Kids, or maybe it's Kakao Kids. It's Kakao Kids or Yanadu Kids. I can't remember which one it is now. Whatever. They have the Korean dub SpongeBob as well. So I would actually listen to that a lot when my kid was watching it. So he knows all the characters in the Korean SpongeBob. And the Korean SpongeBob is great. If you watch it and you're not listening to what they're saying, you would easily think it's the American version because their voices are so good. They're great. They got awesome people to do the voices. It sounds so good. Hello from Poland. France. Yes. 안녕하세요 from Dallas. Welcome, Traga. Flo Purdy, Florida. Keith, Michigan. Another person from France. Just France there, yes. Finlandia. What's Finlandia? Is that Finland? How they say it in Finland? You say it as Finlandia? Finlandia sounds like an amusement park. I don't know. Mike says it's legit good. Yes, that's what I've heard, and I would like to try the real stuff someday. Ha ha ha. France! You really have to growl, though. Okay, I'll work on my growl a little bit more. It's on Korean Netflix. Oh, okay. Maybe that's how he also watched it, because I remember he watched it. No, it must have been from the kids, Kakao Kids or Yanadu Kids. Yeah, because he watched it on his tablet. So I don't think he watched it on Korean Netflix. But yeah, that's good to know it's also on Korean Netflix. And totally recommend Korean Netflix over US Netflix if you have the choice. It has pretty much everything the US Netflix has that you actually want to watch, but it'll also have tons of Korean content on that the US one doesn't, including like, you know, SpongeBob, like regular stuff. Jinxie. Is that a Scooby-Doo reference? Hey, Billy, I just bought your Korean Made Simple Level 2 book. It's supposed to be here Tuesday. I'm so excited. Tuesday, Korean Made Simple 2. Tuesday. I'll make sure I'm not wasting too much time. Okay, we still got a few more minutes left. We'll start the stream. Egypt here. Welcome. Brazil. North. I've gotten sponsor requests from a few VPN companies. I don't think they watched my videos before. Like, why are VPN companies contacting me and asking me to do a sponsorship deal for my channel? Though, to be fair, I use a VPN when I go to Korea because I need to be able to access my, the utility bill payment portal in the US while I'm in Korea. I need to pay my utilities for my apartment here while I'm in Korea, right? So that way they don't shut off my water because I didn't pay my bill for 3 months while I'm in Korea. So I have to log onto the website, but several of those websites, like the utility companies use here, block any sort of traffic from outside of the US. Like, I mean, they don't want to have people that are just trying to hack their website, so they just block it. So as a result, in order to pay my bills here, unless I can mail a check, I have to get a VPN. But so far I haven't accepted any of those VPN deals. I'm not against VPNs in general. I just think usually you don't need them unless you're trying to like watch Korean Netflix or something like that. I can't really see too many use cases for them for a Korean learner besides that. Traga says for the last live stream. Yes, this is not the last live stream, but it's the last live classroom for the next 3 months. Yes, Traga, that is correct. Are you gonna meet me in Korea? I'm gonna be having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 live fan meeting sometime while I'm in Korea. I hope it'll be sometime toward the end of next month, but I'm not exactly sure when it'll be because it depends where can I do it, what's going on at that location on that day and time. Hopefully there's not a giant outdoor concert that's playing music really loud on their sound check 5 hours before it starts going on that same day. That's what happened last year. I'll have to find a venue that I can have the fan meeting at, or just find a day that the Han River doesn't have anything else going on. We'll see. But yeah, that would be nice. 선생님, and then you wrote 선생님, really, really hard to read, one letter at a time. Nigeria. So you must be the guy that's emailing me all the time telling me I won an inheritance or something like that. The Nigerian prince. Does Nigeria have that many princes that they all email me? I don't know. Although lately I don't get those emails anymore. It's usually just like some wealthy business person that wants me to help them transfer their money or something like that. That's usually the emails. I haven't actually gotten a Nigerian prince email in a very long time. I think I've probably only gotten them once anyway. Okay, we'll get started with the live stream in just a few minutes. But first, Mafaz asked, what should we call ourselves in the Billy fandom? We have a fandom name. It's the Go Billy Goats, GOATS. So if you join my membership, I think it's for the new members or like the second or third month or whatever, you get a little goat image next to your name, and that's what it's supposed to be. So the Go Billy Goats, GOATS. And we made that back in 2018 or early 2019 when we first started doing these live streams. I started at the end of 2018. So yeah, it's been around for a while. A few announcements. Again, if you are a Patreon member, you get access to these. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like looking around. Patreon members get access to the live stream outlines for all the streams. If you're not a Patreon member, you cannot get this. You still get all of the lesson material. You just have to take your own notes. You get the outlines on Patreon. You also get an additional worksheet, which has a bunch of questions. Sorry, not questions, but translation questions. So practice translation, extra sentences that we don't go over during the live stream just because there are way too many to cover. Usually there will be like an extra 10. I think this lesson has an extra 8 or so or 10 sentences on what we're doing today that couldn't fit into the lesson. So yeah, you get both of those for joining Patreon, and Patreon is only $1 a month. So if you have more than that, if you can support me, $25 a month, you get to watch, all my YouTube videos early, and there's other benefits like that. But for the $1 tier, you get access to all of these. So yeah, go ahead and join if you'd like to get them. Let's see. Traga says, I had my first dream in Korea last night. Oh, how was that? I remember when I started to have dreams in Korean. I couldn't speak very much Korean when I first started having dreams in Korean. I remember the dream was like someone would say Korean to me, but I wouldn't really know what they're saying because I'm just making it up in my dream. But then I would respond really poorly, or I would respond with something that was also garbled, but it made sense in the dream. Now, if I have dreams in Korea, I usually speak Korean okay. They'll happen maybe 10, 20 minutes before I wake up. And usually I can speak okay Korean and they'll speak kind of okay Korean to me. So it's gotten better. My Korean skills are improving even when my brain is mostly shut off. Let's see. Princess Tazlima says, hey, Billy, aren't you sleeping? It is 2 p.m. here in Los Angeles, so I am not asleep. But when I go to Korea, if I were in Korea right now, then yeah, it would be like 6 a.m. right now. Okay. We're going to start with the lesson in just a minute. For this live stream, which is going to be beginner friendly, it's actually kind of like an intermediate lesson. Even though I'm saying it's beginner, it's actually more for intermediates. So if you're a beginner, you're fine. If you're intermediate, you're fine today. If you're advanced, you're still going to learn something today. Unless you've like mastered this form and every way it's used, you're still going to probably learn something today, no matter what your Korean level is. It is 2 o'clock and time to start our lesson. Let's see, how many people we got? 134 people watching. Welcome to the stream. If it's your first time here, I'm a Korean teacher. I've been teaching Korean on YouTube since 2012. So now it's been over 11 years. I've been learning Korean since 2005. So it's been almost 19 years since I've started. And yeah, let's get going. So we're going to be learning several forms today. And the first one is going to be the most simple. And that is, you take a verb stem, any verb, you chop off the ta at the end. Now you have the verb stem. So hada is just ha. Then you attach ki, followed by 는, which is the topic marker, and then hada. So what is this? Well, I actually covered this form in a lot of detail, specifically just this form from March 8th, 2020. So if you want a lesson that's just about this with more examples, go check that out as well. Now, what is this form? Well, this is just the verb first. The key attached to a verb is what's known as the nominalization form, which is just a fancy way of saying it's the noun form nom is for like noun or name, the noun form of a verb. So if you have a verb like 먹다, 먹다 to eat, we get the verb stem, 먹, we attach ki. Now we have the ki nominalization form, or just the noun form of the verb 먹다. So if 먹다 is to eat, 먹기 is the noun version of it. You might say gerund, but it works a little bit differently than a gerund in English. So this would be eating. Literally, eating. If we have a verb that's not an action verb, but a descriptive verb, however, let's take 춥다, to be cold, like when it's winter and you feel cold. 아, 추워. 춥다. You get the stem, you attach ki. So to be cold, well, what's the noun version of cold? Well, this would be like being cold. Now, you don't really use this sort of thing on its own too much, but there are some places where you really will want to. So what this is the noun version of the verb plus the topic marker. Now, I'm not going to be talking about how the topic marker works. That would be a whole separate live stream, but I will give you the super condensed version of what does the topic marker do when it's attached after a noun. This is kind of what I've done this once before. This is kind of the intonation you get when you use the topic marker after a noun, and we do this in English. So if you're saying, for example, to your friend, you bought a bunch of pizzas that you're going to have for a party, but you have some extras. You might not need them all. And your friend walks in. They're like, hey, Billy, can I have some of that pizza? And you want to say, okay, you can have the pineapple pizza, but don't touch the rest, right? That intonation, pineapple, it goes up and then back down and then back up to the baseline. You can have the pineapple implies emphasis. It emphasizes something, and that emphasis can have many meanings in English. But in this sentence, the emphasis of you can have the pineapple means only the pineapple, right? It means like that is okay, but don't touch the rest. You're not just saying you can have the pineapple pizza. That doesn't have any emphasis in it. That's like eat the pineapple, but I'm not going to make any statement on whether it's okay to eat the rest or not. But when you make it like this, when you add that emphasis in English, it emphasizes that one thing, right? That's exactly the emphasis that the topic marker in Korean gives to a noun. Now, this is not the only thing about the topic marker, how it's used, but this is the emphasis that it gives. So whenever you see the topic marker used in a sentence, this is the emphasis you are adding to your sentence. It's this kind of up and down. The subject marker, however, we won't talk about that today, but the subject marker also adds emphasis, but it's not this up and down and back up emphasis. It's simply an up and down emphasis, if that makes any sense, in case you're wondering. But we're not going into the subject marker today. So what we have is 하다 next. So 하다 after that. 하다 is either to do or to be in this case. It's not being used as the verb 하다 to do. It's being used just as a helping verb, which can mean both to do or to be. So verb stem, 기는 하다. So now we have the verb stem as a noun. So for example, eating. Eating 하다. I do. Or if it's a descriptive verb, 춥기는 하다. Being cold, 하다. It is. That is the exact emphasis and intonation you can imagine in English when you use this form in Korean. That's what this form does. It is just the noun form of the verb, literally, plus the emphasis of the topic marker. So it's a way to add that emphasis onto a verb in Korean. So again, the topic marker emphasizes the verb. And what is that nuance that it gives? Well, let me give you a quick example. Let's take the verb 공부하다. I wrote that terrible. Let me write that again. Sorry, I always forget if I'm in my advanced class or my beginner class, and I have to write a little bit nicer for beginners to read it. Okay, so let's take the verb 공부하다, to study, right? So 공부하기는 하다. So let's say you have the sentence 공부해요. 공부해요. I study or someone studies. The end. Do you study Korean? 네, 공부해요. 네, 한국어 공부해요. Yes, I study Korean. We're good. Do you study Korean? 공부하기는 해요. What could be the difference between just saying 공부해요 and 공부하기는 해요? Think about it yourself before I tell you. I've already given you the hints about what it could be, but take a minute. Think about it for yourself. What could be the difference between just saying 공부해요 and 공부하기는 해요? I want you to kind of figure it out for yourself. And while you are, I'm going to take a minute break and check the chat. How is everyone doing? Traga says, and 아저씨 was mad at me because I said 뭐 to something he told me. You can't just say, it's okay. It's a learning experience. You can't just say 뭐 to someone because that's casual. Like, it's basically like someone talks to you like a stranger and you just go up, what did you say? Kind of like that. It's a bit aggressive, but I mean, you look like a foreigner, so they're probably not going to get mad at you unless they don't know that. Maybe they're, not paying attention and they didn't realize you're not a Korean. Yeah. Aneta James says, I'm learning with the help of your beginner course. Nice. Yes. If you don't know, I have a free, actually, I'll post it here in chat. I have a free beginner course. It's 100 episodes and it goes all the way from the very beginning, so nothing, up to a basic conversational level. And yes, it's 100% free. And I even have a new course I just put out just a few weeks ago. I started. That's a conversation course that you can follow after you finish that course, which goes into just full native level conversations. Nothing's been filtered. These are full real conversations. And then I explain it using things you've already learned and adding on new grammar. And that's also a new free course that's coming out. Yes. Christy says, can we ask unrelated questions? Yes, you can. I might not answer them during the stream. I might not answer them while I'm teaching, but if I don't answer it during the teaching time, you can ask it after the class. I usually finish this class after an hour or so, and I take questions then as well. Okay, so back to that. We have the sentence 공부해요, I study, and 공부하기는 해요. What's the nuance? Well, literally, 공부하기. Remember, it is not to study, but now we have the noun form studying. And then 하다, to do or to be, depending on whether it's an action or descriptive verb. So studying, remember, we get that nuance, we get that intonation from the topic marker. Studying, I do. Or more naturally, I study. That is everything about this form. That is 100% of what this form is. Now, what is that practically? When would you say to someone, not I study, but I study? When might you say that? Well, I'll tell you the answer. It's you're giving the nuance of admitting something, right? I study, but you're not admitting it completely. So this would be the note you want to write down. It gives it the nuance of admitting something, yes, but not admitting it completely. And that is everything that this form is. And the way that it does that nuance is because of that topic marker. And that's literally the meaning that you get. Note that although it is 기는, you'll often also see it written as just 긴. It's the same thing. 기는 shortens to 긴. What's the difference? Not much, but if you really want to be picky, 긴 is slightly more informal, so like a little bit less formal sounding than 기는. But it's not casual, it's not rude, it's just slightly more informal, spoken sounding, like something you'll hear in speech. So you might hear 긴 used more often in speech, but they're both fine. You don't have to feel like, oh, I'm speaking casually, so I should use 긴 instead of 기는. Like, I shouldn't use 기는. No, it's fine. You can use either one. It's just it does have a slightly more informal feel to it. Okay. So again, literally, the topic marker kind of has that nuance of like that intonation. Or you can think of it as translating as for. So like, as for the verb, I do, or I am. Let me give you an example. Let's see. Actually, there should be a space here. Okay. So we're going to have our friend Charsu. Everyone knows Charsu. Just some random fodder. We always stick him in every sentence, good or bad. 철수가 한국 사람. So here the verb is 이다, to be. So normally you might say something like 철수가 한국 사람이에요. 철수 is Korean. 철수가 한국 사람입니다. Like that. 철수가 한국 사람이긴. So 이기는 하다. 하지만. So now up to here we have 철수 as for being a Korean. 하다. He is. But the nuance we get is he is Korean. Already we have that nuance just up to here. 한국 사람이긴 하지만. So he's Korean, but 하지만, but 한국어, Korean language, 한국어를 못해요. He can't speak Korean. So the literal translation is 철수 is a Korean, but he can't speak Korean. But the intonation and the nuance that we get with this form is 철수's Korean, but he can't speak Korean. Notice how we have Korean, it goes up and then down and then back up again. That nuance comes from this 기는 form. That's the core of this 기는 form, is that nuance of emphasizing something. You are admitting it. You're saying, yeah, he is. You're admitting it. He is Korean, but you're not admitting it completely. You're like, but, you know, he's kind of not, because he can't speak Korean. So 철수가 한국 사람이긴 하지만 한국어를 못해요. So 철수 is Korean, or is Korean. You can think of the nuance either way, but he cannot speak Korean. Okay. We're actually not going to do any more examples of this form because, like I said, I've already covered this in a separate live stream with more examples, but that's all you need to know in order for us to continue and go on to our main forms for this lesson. So that's all you need to know for this lesson. The next form we're going to be doing, I will have you do some sentences. It should look a bit familiar. This form I have not covered before in any live streams, although I believe it's in my book series. For this form, it looks very familiar to what we just did. You take a verb stem, you get 기는 or 긴, and then you attach a verb at the end. So not 하다, but a different verb. So what could this be? Well, let's look at it again. It's pretty much the same thing, right? So verb stem, let's take 공부하다, like we had before. 공부하기는 or 공부하긴, and then instead of 해요, to give the intonation of I study, now we have a different verb. What verb would this be? Well, it's actually, this is supposed to be the same verb here. So if you use 먹다, you can have 먹긴 or 먹기는, 먹어요, 먹다. You use it twice. Whatever verb you put here, you use it again here. Now, what is this form? Let me give you a quick example. I'll give you one word example. Actually, let's do this one. Let me write it nicer. we have two examples here. Two options you can do. We have 많다. 많다 means to be many. So there are a lot. There is a lot of something. Normally you could just say 많아요. Yes, there are a lot. There's a lot of it. But now you could say with our previous form, 많긴 or 많기는, 많긴 해요. So there are a lot. Is that intonation you get? There are a lot. Like you're saying, yeah, there are a lot. Okay. I admit that, but not completely. Or now you could also have 많긴 많아요. So what would be the difference? Or I guess not just thinking about the difference, but what would this one mean? Or what would this one feel like? If this one, I said 하다 is kind of like to do or to be, then what do we get if we just replace it with the verb again? We get 많긴. It's a lot. Well, instead of it is a lot, we have there are a lot again. So a lot, there are a lot. So as for there being a lot, there are a lot is what you're saying literally. It's simply repeating the verb twice instead of just using 하다. And what this does is the exact same thing as 하다, but with more emphasis. You're not just saying, well, as for being a lot, there are. You're saying, as for being a lot, there are a lot. So it just adds more emphasis to the verb. But meaning-wise, whether you use 하다 after this or the verb repeated again, the exact same meaning. The only difference is it's more emphatic. It's stronger. So instead of saying something like 좋아하긴 해요. 좋아하긴 좋아해요. Like, well, I like it. It's just more emphatic. 많기는 해요. 많기는 많아요. Yeah, 많긴 많아요. There are a lot. It's just more emphatic. It's the same meaning, just more emphasis. So that's all you need to know about this form. So I'm going to give you one sentence. Can I have... This sentence is a bit hard if I have it for beginners. But I'm going to have you complete the end part of the sentence. So I'm going to give you the beginning. Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you the beginning of the sentence, and I want you to complete the end of the sentence. Okay, let's do 20. You don't have to know this form because unless you're already intermediate, you probably do. 한국 여름. So Korean summers. 덥다, to be hot. 덥다더니 is literally 덥다고 하더니, or you can think of this even more shortened from 말하더니, as in, I heard, or literally people say that Korea is really hot. And as a reaction to what people say, that Korean is hot, literally. Anyway, don't worry about this form if you haven't learned it. Just know that it means, I heard people say Korea is really hot, but, and now you're going to say like something like, no, it's not just hot, it's, or something like that. So what we're going to do is I want you to finish this sentence by using the verb 덥다. 덥다 means to be hot, like it's hot and you feel hot. So I want you to use 덥다 either with our first form, 하다, or the new form where you repeat the verb. And what you're going to be saying is, I heard Korean summers are hot, but they are really hot. They're really hot. So you're saying literally, as for being hot, they're hot. So you're adding emphasis to the fact that it's actually hot. And you can do that with either 기는 하다 or 기는, this verb again. If you want to be fancy, you can add in like words like 정말 or 진짜 or anything like that to say like really. But what you're going to get is a sentence again that says, I heard Korean summers are hot, but yeah, they are hot. Like they're hot, like really hot. Or literally, as for being hot, they are hot is what you're saying literally. Okay, let's check the chat for a second while you're trying to write these sentences. Evolving Brain says, I wonder if this form can be translated as, it's true that. Sure, because you are admitting it, but it's like, it's true that, yeah, it's true that, blah, blah, blah. And whenever you say it's true that, you're kind of implying like, okay, I'm going to give you this one, but I'm going to come at you with something else, right? You don't really use it to say like, it's true that this and this and this. There you go. No, it's always like, here, I'm going to give you one, but I want you to know I still have one up my sleeve. I'm not giving up to you that easily. You're kind of saying that when you're saying that. So that works too. If that helps to think of it like that, yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Okay, let's see what we have. Aniki, 덥긴 덥네요. Perfect. 덥기는 더워요. Maria, nice. 덥긴 더워요. Lexica, perfect. Hopegate, it's not ton니까, it's actually tall. 터니. I have a separate live stream about that. 한국 여름 덥다더니 정말 덥거든. Chaga, perfect. 덥다니 덥기는 덥더라고요. Great TO, yes, nice. Keith as well, nice. 덥기는 더워요. Floor Purdy, perfect. Hopegate, perfect. Traga says it's always as a response. No, you can just say it. Because again, the nuance is not a nuance you would only use as a response to someone. You could just go out of the blue, and when you're talking to a friend, oh man, Korea is really hot. Like literally, man, it's hot, but it's hot. Kind of like what you're saying. Like, as for being hot, it's hot is what you literally get. Or if you translate it naturally again, it's like, man, it is hot. 한국 여름이 덥다더니, oh, small typo, Suzanne, but yep. 진짜 덥기는 더워요. Yep. Nice. Evolving brain, try to be all fancy. 덥기 짝이 없네요. So as for being hot, well, it is so hot it has no, it's not a natural way to speak, but sure. Go ahead. Put all the forms together. Make this abomination of a sentence that the teacher kind of has to just say, okay. Aniki, isn't ton technically just tall made into an adjective? Yes, it is. But you wouldn't put an adjective before the nika form. So that's why it wouldn't be that. But yeah, it is. 덥다더니 정말 덥긴 덥네요. Yes, Ayakata. Okay, so I'm going to give you one answer. Then we're going to move on. There's still a couple other forms we have to do. In fact, these are the shortest parts of today's lesson. Yes, these are the shortest sections of today's lesson. We have the main form we're doing today, we haven't even gotten into. These are just like the precursors to our form today. Because you have to know these in order to know our form. Let's see. Let's do that. Okay. 한국 여름. So Korea summers. 덥다. Hot. 덥다더니. So I heard that Korean summers are hot. But 덥긴 정말 덥네요. So as for being hot, they are really hot. 정말 is what you're saying literally. Or as for being hot, they are really hot. But more naturally, you might just translate this as, I heard Korean summers are hot, but they are really hot. Like, I didn't even expect how hot they are. Like, you're right. Yeah, they are hot. Korean summers, it's true. Korean summers actually aren't that hot because if you check the temperature, it's not that bad. It might be only into the like 80s or like low 90s on the hottest days in Fahrenheit. But it's humid, and that high humidity combined with being hot, combined with when you're in the city and there's no shade around you, it is ridiculous how hot you feel. You're like, I just took a shower and walked out of the house, and I'm literally just wearing a t-shirt and I am like dying. You're like sweating already. It is so hot. I don't like it, but I can't change the weather. Okay. 한국 여름이 덥다더니 덥긴 정말 덥네요. So like, I heard Korean summers are hot, but they are really hot. Okay, those are the two forms that you need to know before we can go into the main form for today. The main form for today requires knowing those other forms. Can you guess what it's going to be? I guarantee you've never seen anything that looks like this main form before. You take a verb stem, then you attach gi to make it into a noun, or 긴, followed by, oh sorry, I should say this a different way, followed by the topic marker, or you can just use 긴, which has the same meaning. I bet you've never seen this before. It's a brand new construction, right? And then you just finish the sentence. That's it. That's the end of the sentence, period. Or if you want to be polite, you usually do, then you attach 요 and then end the sentence. So our previous example of 먹다, to eat, 먹기는, or 먹긴, 먹기는 요, 먹긴 요. That's it. This is the exact same form that we just did, minus the verb at the end. But it's the same form. The nuance is the same. 먹다, to eat. 먹기, eating. 먹기는, eating. Eating. 공부하다, to study. 공부하기, studying. 공부하기는, studying. Okay, that is, again, 100% of the nuance of this form. If you get that nuance, you get how to use this form. But then, what does that nuance do? Let me see, let me give you an example. I think you already know exactly what this form is used for. I'll let you know the nuance is not admitting something. You're not admitting something, but not completely, like the other form, right? So like, for example, do you study Korean? Well, I study Korean, but you're going to say something like, yeah, I study, but I'm not learning very quickly. You might say that with our previous form. You're admitting something, but you're not admitting it completely. With this one, however, it's not going to be the same usage because the nuance, which is exactly the same, is now not followed by a verb that says it is. You're not following this with hada, which says, yeah, I do, or yeah, I am, or something like that. This one is just the end. So you have that same intonation, that same nuance, but now minus a verb at the end that confirms it. So instead, you get a different feeling. Let me demonstrate. So, Billy, I heard you've been studying a lot of Korean. Studying? What is that? What does that nuance mean? Hey, that pasta looks like it tastes so good. It tastes good, huh? Tastes good? What is this nuance? It's the exact same thing we just did, right? Nothing's changed. But now the usage is completely different. What is it? Yeah, notice how the same nuance conveys a completely different meaning once you just remove that verb at the end. Yeah, I mean, it's in the title of the video, to be fair. You are disagreeing with someone. And we do this exact same thing in English, right? Like, hey, I am so thankful for you for helping me out with that. Really, I would have been just a goner if you hadn't helped me. Thankful? You're disagreeing with them. You're like, no. You can think of this word, you can think of this form as really just meaning like, no, I disagree. But you can translate it in many different ways. You can translate it as, well, studying like that, or no, I don't study, or 아니에요, just literally. But you get it. You know what I'm talking about when you hear that nuance. That's all it is. I could go on explaining it, but that's it. Let me give you an example. Actually, I'm gonna tell you something. Wow, you're Korean. 한국말 정말 잘하시네요. 와, 대단하다. Your Korean is the best I've ever heard in my entire life. 엄청 잘하세요. How would you reply? Let me give you an example. Actually, just how would you reply? Or how could you reply? You can reply a lot of different ways. You can say, oh, I'm not very good, but I want you to reply using this form. What I want you to say is, I'm good. Like that. Like speaking good is kind of literally what you're saying. So someone says, 한국말 잘하시네요. 정말 잘하세요. You are so good. They're using the verb 잘하다. Means to do something skillfully, like you're doing something very well in a skilled way. So you're going to reply like speaking good, and you're being humble, you actually do, because you can use this form. Yeah, I want you to make the sentence yourself. If you're saying it in your head or you already wrote it down, write it down in the chat just to kind of help. It's not sarcasm. You're actually just saying it kind of sounds humorous if you do it with that much exaggeration in English, but it's not sarcasm. It's really like, for our previous example, like studying. 공부하긴, like 공부하기는, like studying is all that it is. Like studying. No, I don't study is kind of what you're implying. Aniki says 잘한다긴요 is like saying that I study well. It's kind of, that would be like saying you're wrong for, you're really telling me that I study well. It sounds more like doubt. 잘한다기는. Sounds a little bit awkward to me. And also, if you were to just use it like that, it would be too casual. So you probably wouldn't use it. That's why maybe it feels awkward to me, is that you wouldn't use that expression to someone who's complimenting you. Like you're saying, I'm good in casual speech. 잘한다기는요. No, in that case, it sounds a bit like you're mocking them for saying it instead of you're mocking yourself for being good. Tragus says, are you just humble? It's a big disagreement. It's the same type of disagreement you would get from using that sort of intonation. I'm good. Like that. So I'll give you a few examples, actually. So if someone compliments your Korean, you could say 잘하기는요. Speaking good, like you're saying I'm speaking good. Speaking good. No, I can barely introduce myself. I can barely order at McDonald's on a kiosk. My Korean's not good. 잘하기는요. I'm not good. So it's a way to disagree with someone. But that reason that it sounds like you're disagreeing with them is because of that intonation, that nuance that using the topic marker gives. This form is really just a glorified topic marker lesson. That's it. Because that's what the topic marker does to a noun anyway, is adds that emphasis. But now we're adding the emphasis to a noun that's made from a verb instead of just from a noun. If we had a noun instead, 피자는요? Like you could translate this as how about pizza? Or as for pizza? But the nuance is pizza? Pizza? It's like that emphasis. So it has a lot of meanings. Like you're talking about pizza? Like why pizza? It could be that. It could be how about pizza? Like pizza? Like you're suggesting something. It has a lot of nuance from that one thing. This whole lesson is just a glorified topic marker lesson. Okay. Next example. Someone says, oh, 정말 고마워요. Thank you so much. This is your younger friend in Korea tells you, oh, 정말 고마워요. Or 정말 고마워. And you want to say, which literally means, oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. But you want to say, thankful? Nah, you don't need to say that. We're cool. You're good. You don't need to be You don't need to be grateful. So you want to say grateful, thankful. Again, the same nuance. How do you do it? What might you say if they tell you 고마워? Again, the verb you're going to use is not 고마워. That's not a verb. The verb is 고맙다, to be thankful or to be grateful, like that. I don't know why I was saying it that way. Yes. Keith said, would a follow-up be expected? No, you could continue the sentence. Yeah. We'll talk about that as well. These examples that I'm giving you for the live stream are short because I want you to get how it's used. But in real speech, you're going to hear these with a finish to the sentence. You're not just saying, grateful, but you're going to say like, I was just lucky or something like that. How you can finish the sentence however you want. You could just finish the sentence like this, like, nah. But usually Koreans like an explanation for something. So we'll talk about that in the next example, actually. Let's see. Lexica, 고맙긴, perfect. As well as Hopegate, perfect. Let's see what else we got. Maria as well. Yes, Nini. Ayakata. Mafaz. Abby. Keith. All good. Griactio. 천 만원이에요? I don't know if you did it on purpose as a joke, but that's hilarious. So for anyone who doesn't get that, I'm going to think that it's a joke. They did it on purpose, but if they're not, I'll let you know so that you don't make this thing. 천만이에요 is an old Korean expression that's not used anymore. Although you might hear people in their 60s and 70s that still are familiar and use this expression. Nowadays, it's an antiquated, it's outdated. It's no longer used. 천만이에요 was an old way to say you're welcome. But literally, 천만 means 1,000, 10,000. So that would be what we would call, I'll show you. This is man. So what's 1,000 of these? Well, we add 3 zeros. That is, sorry, that's 100. Wait. Right? Yeah. I'm terrible at math. This isn't exclusive to Korean. What's 1,000 10,000s? Let's see, 100, 10 10,000s. Okay, yeah, 10 10,000s is here. 100 10,000s is here. So that's a million, right? Am I dumb? Anyway, it's a very large number. But they wrote, instead of 천만이에요, they wrote 천만원, which is just one, the Korean currency. So that's like saying the price is a million won, like that. 10 million, is it 10? Okay, did I calculate it wrong? 10,000, 100,000. Oh yeah, you're right. I should have added an extra zero to that. Anyway, you get the point. Because I was like, 천만's the last one, and then after that you go to 억. And 억 I know is 100 million. So then before 억 has to be 천만, and then so 천, 백, 십. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I wasn't adding it correctly. So there we go. Yeah, 10 million. So that's like saying it's 10 million won. Or in dollars, that would be about like $7,500-ish. I don't have a converter. Somewhere around there to 8,000. The joke just gets funnier the more you explain it, right? Okay, so someone compliments you and says, 대단하세요. 대단하세요. You are amazing. That was incredible. And you want to reply, amazing. I was lucky. Now, I'm going to have to tell you how to say lucky, but I want you to make this whole sentence. So someone tells you, oh, you're amazing. And you want to reply, amazing. I was lucky. So by amazing, you're saying, no, I wasn't amazing, right? But that's all you're doing. You're just saying amazing with that intonation. That's the sentence. So you're going to say lucky. And the word for lucky is literally 운, which means luck. You can use this regular. It's just a regular word. 운 means luck. And then you could just say to have luck or to not have luck. But typically they say your luck is good. 운이 좋다 or 운 좋다 literally means to be good. Your luck is good. And that's how you say to be lucky. You say someone had good luck. Literally their luck was good. So you want to reply, amazing, I was lucky. So try to make that sentence. If it's a little bit difficult for you, you can just stick to making the amazing part, and I'll accept that as a sentence. But if you want to challenge yourself, try to make the whole thing. Amazing, I was just lucky. Griactio says, I'm very proud of this joke. And that was a good, what was that sound? I heard like a beep. That was a good joke. Abby, 대단하기는요. Yep. Maria, it's not good luck. You're not saying good luck. You're saying your luck was good. So 운이 좋다, not 좋은 운. But you conjugated it correctly. 아니키, 대단하긴 그냥 운이 좋았거든요. You would want note 아니키. It's almost perfect. You just want to match the politeness of the two sentences. So 대단하긴 is ending the sentence, since this is used as like the end of a sentence. If you just said 대단하긴, now your sentence is 반말, because it's not a sentence connector if there's no verb after it. So you would want to either use 좋았거든, the end, or 대단하긴요, like that. Lexica, perfect, incredible, amazing, I'm lucky, like that. Let's see. 대단하긴요, 운이 좋았어요. Perfect, Trega. Keith, let's see. Oh, small typo, Keith. It's 하기는요, but that's not a big deal. It's just that I'm lucky. Okay, Keith. Danielle. Your sentence makes sense. I'm lucky. No. Actually, Danielle, sorry. What you have is 대단하긴 해요. That means, well, I am amazing. Humble a little bit. Yeah, you would want to not use the 하다, because the 하다 confirms it. Like, amazing, I am. 해요, if you are. Or which is the same thing as saying 대단하긴 대단해요. Yeah, I am amazing. Yeah, I guess so. So you wouldn't want to use that at the end. Ryan just says 대단하지만 운이 좋았어요. So that again is confirming it. So you're saying I am amazing, but, so you don't want to use that. 대단하긴요. Hopegate, a small typo for 하, but yes. 그냥 운이 좋았어요. Perfect, Hope. Flo Purdy, perfect. Aniki says, I was thinking the first part was 혼잣말. So like, 혼잣말 is like speaking to yourself, which they do in Korean all the time. And we do much less in English. We'll usually only say short things to ourselves in English, but in Korea, they'll like 혼잣말, they'll monologue like whole sentences, like whole conversations. It was a bit of a culture shock when I first went to Korea, how much Koreans do 혼잣말, talking to themselves. 대단하긴. No, you're talking to them, because you're saying amazing, like that. It's like you want them to hear that you're saying amazing, like thankful. Don't worry about it. Like you're replying to them. 대단하기는 당연하죠. Amazing, of course. Sure. I'm sure. Just do whatever you want. Make whatever sentences you want to make. I'm going to give you one of the answers here. A lot of you already got it. I'm also going to add in a fun word here. Hey. Actually, let's give myself more space here. Hey, 대단하기는요. Hey, what does hey mean? Hey. It's not this is not what the fawn says. Hey, it's not that. This is more like, come on. Hey, get out of here with that. Come on. Hey, 대단하기는요. Like, come on. Amazing? 운이 좋았어요. I was lucky. Hey, 대단하기는요. 운이 좋았어요. Come on. Amazing? I was lucky. That's what you get. Hey. Note that A is not a formal expression, so don't use it when you're like accepting your, grand prize from the president of the company, and he's like, you won the grand prize, you were first place. Hey, don't say it then. But for general things, you want to keep the mood light. You just want to say, come on. Like that sort of kind of playful denying something, like that. So yeah, come on. Okay. Now, that is the main form for today, but there's still one more form I want to cover. And this form is similar to what we've just done. There's one more form we have to do. This pen is dying. I guess that's okay because this is the last stream I have for 3 months, so I can just throw this away after the stream. Let's see. Okay, first, look at this. This form we have looks exactly like one of the forms we just did. Take a verb stem, ki, 는, or kin, and then you use the verb again, right? This is the exact same form that we had. What did that form do? Well, it's used the same way as 하다. For example, if we have 춥다, 춥기는 추워요. So as for cold, it's cold. Or 춥기는 해요. As for cold, it is. That's like saying it's cold. It is cold. But now we're going to add something. Well, let me fix this. This is the exact same thing, but now we're also adding an extra word, and that is 뭐, meaning what, and then the subject marker, 가. So literally, as for being verb, or as for verbing, if it's an action verb, it verbs, but now you're saying what verbs? So kind of like literally, as for verb, what about this verb is that? Is what you get. So this could be for something or someone. Let me give you an example in English first. Cold. What's cold? As for being cold, what, 뭐가, is cold? When might you say something like that? Cold? What's cold? This is an idiomatic grammatical expression. So that means it's used in this sort of form often, as is. It's used to emphasize what we just did in our previous form. It's used for emphasizing that you're disagreeing with someone. So you're not just saying cold. It's not cold. You're saying cold. What about this is cold? You call this cold? It's just a more emphatic way, an idiomatic way of disagreeing with someone, but has the same usage as just this part. Cold? What's cold? That girl's pretty? What's pretty? That food tastes good? What tastes good? What are you talking about? What is cold about this weather? I'm from Canada. This isn't cold, is what all of my Canadian friends would say whenever they're in Korea. This food's salty? What is salty? What are you talking about? Okay, so I want you to make this sentence. I'm going to give you an example. I want you to make that sentence I just made. Let's see, you can use either the verb 춥다 to be cold or 덥다 to be hot. So if you're from an area, depending on what country you're from, is the place you're from excessively cold or is it excessively hot? Or if it's both, well, you're probably in Korea. Pick one. Someone goes to your home country and says, man, it is so cold or it is so hot. And you want to be like, hot? What's hot? You think this is hot? You think the heat is your friend. I was born in it. As you know, okay, I'll stop there. Okay. So this is disagreeing again, just with more emphasis. I want you to make this sentence. Okay, Griak. I can't read your name. Just gonna say G. Sup, G? 쉽기는 뭐가 쉬워요? Yes. Easy. What's easy? When someone says, man, have you tried learning Korean? That language is easy. You're like, 쉽긴 뭐가 쉬워? 뭐가 쉽냐고. What is easy? What's easy about this is what you're saying. Again, this is an idiomatic usage. So although you wouldn't always say it like this in English, this is how they say it in Korean. Like we would say, what about this is cold? But in Korean, they say, what is, more directly. 춥긴 뭐가 추워요. Yeah, what's cold about it? 춥기는 뭐가 추워요. Aneki, perfect. 뭐가 춥냐? That's like you're talking to your close friend. You want to be kind of funny and just like totally 반말 them. Traga, 뭐가 추워? Perfect. Hopegate, perfect. Lexica, I almost read it. I was trying to read it in Korean while I was saying perfect. It didn't come out right. But your sentence is perfect. Let's see what else we got. Maria, I see you did both sentences. You want to conjugate it though, because you're not just saying 뭐가 덥다, because 덥다 is the plain form. It means cold. Hot. It means it is hot directly. It's plain. But you need to make it into a conjugated sentence because you're asking them. You're not just making a statement, which would be the plain form. But it's kind of like you're asking them. I should say, though, that you do not need to add a question mark to this form. Although it literally is, it's this? What about it is this? You don't add a question mark. You can just use it as a statement. You could add a question mark, but you don't need to. Because you're not really asking them a question. It's a hypothetical question. You're not saying, this is cold? What's cold about this? Can you tell me? Please tell me all of the ways in which this is cold. You're not actually asking them a question. So you don't need a question mark. You're just stating it. What's cold about this? And then you can rant about how when you were a kid you used to walk uphill both ways barefoot to get to school, 20 miles, all that. It's just a question that you're asking to nobody. So yeah, you don't need a question mark at the end. 덥긴 뭐가 더워요. 멕시코의 여름은 small typo 여름 for Brenda, but yes, 진짜 더워요. Okay, I don't want to go to Mexico in the summer if it's really hot. 덥기는 뭐가 더워요. Yes, perfect, Flo Purdy. Keith says 2 degrees Celsius. 2 degrees Celsius, it's pretty cold. Korea will get very cold in the winter though, like negative, like 8 degrees or something like that. 덥기는 뭐가 더워요. Nice. 뭐가 습하고 더운 날씨인가요? This is not a polite question, so no, you would not ask it like that. Griactic Grio says it's more like a rhetorical question. Yes, it is a rhetorical question. You can add a question mark, but you don't need to because it's like, again, you're not asking them literally, what is cold? Can you tell me? You're just like, what's cold? With this nuance, when you ask a question, what's cold? We're not saying, you're not going to say in English, this is cold? What is cold? You're not actually asking a question. You're saying, what's cold, right? It goes down. You're not asking a question in English either. What about this is cold? You're just closing it. You're like, you are wrong. What is cold? I'm not even asking you. It's just yeah. So you don't need a question mark. So you could say something like this. Comma. Actually, you don't really need a comma. You don't need a question mark either because, again, you're not asking them. You can just use a period. So, 춥긴 뭐가 추워? 춥긴, cold. You get that emphasis. But now you're going to add more emphasis to disagreeing with them. So you're not just saying 춥긴. You're not just saying cold. You're saying 춥긴 뭐가 추워? You're saying cold. What's cold? As in, what about this is cold? Or how is this cold? This is cold? What do you mean cold? 춥긴 뭐가 추워? 이 바보. You idiot. Pretty much what you're saying. You're like, cold? What's cold? Okay, one more sentence. I want you to make the sentence. So, 짜다 is the word for salty, as in like something's very salty. You're not going to use it for something that's like lightly salty and tastes perfect. Like 짜다 is used for things that are a little bit too salty. In fact, that goes for every description of something in Korean. If you're saying 덥다, 춥다, 짜다, anything like that, whenever you're describing something, it's usually used because you feel that is more that description is more than usual. So if you say something is 달다, sweet, it doesn't mean it's nice and sweet. It means, oh, it's sweet. Like I don't like this. Just to know, that's what you're implying whenever you use any sort of description word in Korean. I don't know if that's exploded your brain when I just told you that. But yeah, 짜다 means to be salty, but you're not going to use it when someone asks, how's your food? And you're like, oh, it's not, I like it. It's salty. No, that's not what it means. It means it's too salty. I don't like it. If you say 짜요, you're saying it's actually too salty. There are other words you can say for like, if for example, if someone says, how's your cake? Oh, it's sweet. I like it. You don't say it's 달다. 달다 is like, it's too sweet. You could say 달콤하다, like nice and sweet, as in you like it. It's sweet, not too sweet. If you just say 달아요, it means it's too sweet. Same with 짜다 and all of those descriptions. Okay, so I want you to make the sentence. Let's say your Korean friend comes to your home country and says that your native, legitimate, that country's dish is salty. And you want to be like, salty? What is salty? This is salty? What's salty? Like, what are you talking about? This is salty. I want you to make that sentence. I want you to use the verb 짜다 to be salty. Yeah, Bora says, you call that cold? Yeah, we have many ways we can do this in English, but you call this cold? You call that cold is a really good way to translate it. It's that exact same nuance. 짜긴 뭐가, not 짜가, but 짜요, as it is. 짜긴 뭐가 짜? Yeah. 내 나라에서는 5배나 더 짜게 먹는데, in my country, we eat it like 5 times saltier. Nice. 짜기는 뭐가 짜요? Nice. 짜기는 뭐가 짜요? Mafaz and Mofi, I can't say your name. I'll just say Samuel. 짜기는 뭐가 짠? You wouldn't use 짠해요 because 짠해요 would be used for like some realization, like you're surprised about it. You're not saying it is cold, it is salty, but you're saying, you're asking it as a question. But like I said, you don't put the question mark. So you're not going to use a form that's not used in a question though, since again, you are asking it rhetorically. 짜긴 뭐가 짜요? 딱 좋아요. You could say 딱 완벽해요, but 완벽하다 already means like perfect. And 딱 is used with like 좋다 and other verbs. So you can say 딱 좋아, like it's just perfect. Or you can say 완벽해 if you want to emphasize it is perfect, like that. But I would recommend 딱 좋다, like it's just right, for an idiomatic expression. 딱 좋다, to be just right, to be perfect. 짜긴 뭐가 짜? Yes, perfect, Ayakata. 한국 잘하시네요. And you respond, 잘하긴 뭐, because it wouldn't make sense because you're saying 뭐가 해요. You're saying what does it, literally. You could say 뭘 잘해요. But again, since you're not describing something in that case, you're talking about an action, you can't use it with 뭐가 because it's not what does it, it's what do I do well. If this might be an appendum lesson, I'd have to go over but it's typically not used that way that much, but you could say 뭘 잘해요. But again, you wouldn't deny a compliment by saying this because it would be a bit strong. Again, this is an emphatic form. You're not just saying no, you're saying what? Like if someone says, oh, your Korean's so good, and you're just like, I'm good. What about my Korean is good? It sounds like you're kind of talking down to them almost. It's strong, right? It would be too strong to do to a stranger. You could do to your friends, like, Korean's good. What about this is good? You could say it like that, but you can kind of feel like you wouldn't use this sort of speech to a stranger or someone you're not close with. 짜긴 이게 후식이야. What? This is salty. It's dessert. I don't understand it, but sure. I can't argue with your grammar. Okay. 이게 짜긴. This is, 이게 is 이것, 이것이 짜긴. 뭐가 짜요? So this is salty. What's salty? Literally, or how is this salty? So this is salty. How? How is this salty? 이게 짜긴 뭐가 짜요? So what is salty about this? Okay, we're not done. There, for our, that sounded like a SpongeBob laugh. For the form, 기는 and 긴. That's it. That's all you need to know for 기는 and 긴. And there are more sample sentences on the worksheet if you want. But there's one more word we have to talk about. 하긴. Who has seen 하긴 before? 하긴. This word, you can think of it as completely unrelated to the other forms that we've done. Originally, you could say that it's short for 하기는, but it's not used as 하기는. It's only 하긴. It's also not used with 요. It's not 하긴요. It's always 하긴. This word is used at the beginning of a sentence. So it's used before a sentence at the very beginning. And it is used, it has a different meaning. It's used when the speaker agrees with the other person. So you're saying, yeah, that's right. 하긴. Yeah, that's right. And you can translate this several different ways. You could translate it as just saying, yeah, that's right. Like, yeah. I think, though, a better way to translate this is, now that I think about it. Or, after all. Or just, yeah, that's right. But I think the best is this one. Now that I think about it. Because this has a lot of that, the meaning built into it. So, 하긴. Yeah, now that I think about it. And it's used when you agree with something. That's pretty much it. So it's not a separate form. It's not used by itself. It's used at the beginning of a sentence. I'm going to leave this up for just a few seconds, and then I'm going to give you an example sentence. 그러네요. Yes, but like I said, it has a different nuance, but it is used just when you agree with the other person. But the nuance is different than saying 그러네요, like, yeah, you're right. Because 그러네 or 그러네요 is a full sentence. 하긴 is not. 하긴 is the beginning part of a sentence, but you can think of it as the feeling of, sure, like 그러네요, and then you continue, but you have to finish the rest of the sentence. That's why I think now that I think about it, is good, because it has the feeling of you're going to agree with them, but it's not the full sentence. Whereas 그러네요 would be a full sentence, and that's it. But you need to think about it as it being a piece of the of a sentence, and it has to come at the beginning. Zandria, thank you for the $5 donation. For everyone who arrived late, this is my last live Korean class for 3 months while I'm in Korea. I'm not going to be doing any more of these classrooms for the next 3 months while I'm going to be traveling in Korea and filming videos. So yeah, this is actually the last one. I'll try to do some other live streams, but they will not be classes like this. Thank you, Zandria, for your donation. I'm going to give you 5 dabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's read your message. Have a drink on me. Nice. Yes, in Korea, this would pay for a drink. I got accepted into Epic. You're going to be teaching ESL in Korea. Oh, that's awesome. I was able to joke with my interviewer in Korean. Cheers to Billy. That is awesome. And thank you for the donation. good luck. That's going to be really cool. You get to teach through Epic in actual classes. I would ask if you're excited, but I already know the answer. Do you know how long you're going to be staying? I mean, it could be, a year. Sometimes people go there and then just stay there. We'll see. That should be really cool. I'll be there in the fall as well. Okay, so let me give you an example. The only reason I'm teaching this is because it has the same ending kin, but again, it's not part of the stuff that we're doing. 덥긴 하지. 하긴 여름이 많이 덥긴 하지. 하긴. You're agreeing with the listener. You're saying, yeah, I agree with you. Or more naturally, just, now that I think about it, yeah. Or, yeah, after all, 여름, summer, 많이, a lot, 덥다, to be hot. 하지. As for being hot, it is. Or here, as for being 많이 덥다, very hot, it is. So it is very hot in the winter. You're saying, yeah, it is very hot in the summer. Yeah, now that I think about it, it is very hot in the summer. 하긴 여름이 많이 덥긴 하지. Yeah, it really is hot in the summer, is what you're saying. Again, this is not a special grammar form. It's literally just one word, always at the beginning of a sentence like this. It's not in the middle of a sentence or at the end. It's always the start of a sentence. So you're saying, 하긴, like, hey, okay, I'm going to agree with you, is what you're saying. And that is all of this lesson. That is everything we need to learn about this form. There are more examples in the worksheet on my Patreon page. You can also get the outline from Patreon. It'll be up there as soon as the live stream's over. Again, in case you missed it, this is the last live class for the next 3 months. I'll try to do live streams though while I'm in Korea, but none of these classes. This is the last one. Really quick, I have to take my thumbnail image. Okay, that's my thumbnail image. Now I'm available for 20 minutes to answer questions. If you have questions about anything, again, I'm going to Korea early next month, so I'll be in Korea in less than 3 weeks from today. Yeah, I'll be in Korea. In 3 weeks, I'll already be easily in Korea. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions. If you have questions about this class, that's fine, or any other lesson, or whatever. We can talk about anything for today. Greg G said, is it possible to meet you in Korea? I might be doing a fan meeting again this year. I did one the past couple years. If I can find a location to do it and a good day, then I would like to do one sometime next month, maybe the end of the month. We'll see. I have to plan that. Trega says, Zandria says the rest of my life until they deport me. Okay. Well, if you're teaching English, they're not going to. And then when you finish that, you can always transfer to stay in Korea. If you have a place that you can work or something else you want to do, then yeah, you can still stay there. Trega says, which form's more common to say should? 면 좋다, 면 좋겠다. As for those two, 좋겠다 is the one you're talking about for like, I hope. It's not for should. Should would be 면 좋다 or 낫다. But 낫다 doesn't really mean should. It's more like it would be better if you did. Like, it's better if someone did, or it would be preferable. I think it's better if you do something. Whereas should, you're like, oh, you should do that. Like, I really think it would be good if you do that. That's literally 으면 좋다. Literally, it would be good if. 좋겠다, that one is for I hope. Like, oh, I really hope that happens. I wish that happens. That's for that. And 는게 좋겠다 is, it would be good for it's the same thing as 낫다. Like it would be preferable to, but you might need to watch separate lessons for like how those are conjugated. But you could all translate them as should, but the nuances of them are all different. Let's see. Mafaz says, do you have a video on Korean compound verbs? I have videos about all of those sorts of grammar forms. If you're talking about that, like 하다 becoming 해 버리다, or 고 말다, 게 되다, all of those sorts of compounds. Yes, unless there's something specific you're talking about. But I probably have videos about those, the grammar forms for them. Yes. But I don't have any videos that's just like Korean compound verbs, part 1. That's pretty useless to learn them that way, because you can just learn the form and then now you know every single word that has that form. You don't have to learn each of those words one at a time. That would be a waste of time, I think, anyway. Let's see. Christy says, thank you. I've never heard a lesson on that subject before. Nice. Yeah, if anyone has questions about traveling in Korea or living in Korea, anything like that, you can also feel free to ask me. Although I'm not the master on living in Korea, because I'm not in there right now. I'm only in Korea about 4 months a year. But most of the time I'm here in the US. But I do know a lot about traveling to Korea and being in Korea, doing all that sort of stuff. Oh, Hopegate. Hopegate, thank you. Hopegate, I previewed your question. I'm not going to be the best person to answer that question. You're asking any Korean young adult novel recommendation to occupy us while you're in Korea. I don't read any Korean novels. And there aren't any that I'm aware of that are popular, other than English translations of, Korean translations of English novels, like novels that are written in English. So I can't really help you on that. Like, do you want to read Twilight in Korean? Does anyone want to read Twilight to begin with? Hunger Games, I think that kind of qualifies. Hunger Game, like you're not gonna get the best recommendations out of me. You could go to any bookstore in Korea though and ask a worker if they have recommendations, and they actually will help you. If you ask them, hey, I'm looking for this kind of book, or just what are the popular books right now? Just ask the worker, the person putting books on the shelves at any bookstore in Korea, do you have any recommendations for popular books for Koreans, for adults? And they're going to point you to a section. They'll always have like popular sections in the bookstores that are like separated. That way you don't have to search. You can just walk in, see the table with popular items, pick up what you want. I would do that. In fact, that's what I do when I go to the bookstores. I'll just ask them what's popular right now. Where's the popular section? Or I'll just find it myself. And that's where I'll pick out books for my kid, actually, because they'll have the kids' popular section as well, separated. So you don't have to look through the shelf and read like 1,000 book titles. You just go to the popular section. You can see they'll have like, oh, Minecraft guide, oh, Pokemon guide, stuff like that. Flo Purdy. Oh, you were listening when I talked about my favorite tteokbokki place that has like all you can eat for $10. Yeah, it's not really all you can eat, but it is all you can eat. It is so much food. I felt embarrassed not finishing all of it because I felt like the lady was thinking, oh, there's no way this foreigner is going to finish all this food. Why did he order all of these? That's dumb. But I had to like prove that I could finish what I ordered. So yeah, I ate everything. It was so much food. And it was $10. Yeah. I think it was actually a little less than that. It was like 12,000원 or something, which is actually less than $10. Thank you so much, Flo. I'm going to give dabs for hope. I don't think I gave you dabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And dabs for Flo as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need some music. Hold on. It's hard to dab without any music. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. Dabs come much easier with some music added. Brenda says, Billy, will we still get you videos for the new conversation series? Yes, the new conversation series will continue to go up while I'm in Korea. Those will be 1 a week as well. And then they will finish like right when I get back. So then I'll have to start, then you'll start seeing the videos that I'll be editing that I'll film while I'm in Korea this time. Xandria says, I can recommend Neverending Story. The novel. Traga says, I'm starting to learn Hanja and it makes my journey to learn Korean so much easier, especially for vocab words. That is correct. I think people should focus more about learning it. Yeah. If you are past the beginning stages and you want a boost to your vocabulary, I wouldn't get too heavily into hanja early on because it's a really deep rabbit hole. But learning like basic hanja, like not how to read and write it, but just like the character has this sound and this meaning, the end, like that enough will really help you. You'll start to recognize words that have those same hanja elements in them, like Latin root words, essentially. Yunho says, I heard almond is good. I've never heard of that. Hopegate says, unfortunately, I'm not going to Korea anytime soon, so I've just been reading really random books with mixed results. Where is that tteokbokki restaurant? I can't tell you without revealing exactly where I'm going to be staying in Korea. And I don't like to say exactly where I'm going to be staying because it would be easy to find me. But I will say it is near Hongdae because that's where I stay, near Hongdae. I can tell you that. Hongdae is gigantic, so yeah. Near Hongdae, though, you can find a lot of tteokbokki restaurants that have tteokbokki and stuff for a decent price, though. So I won't single this place out. That place I went to was just surprising how much I got for the little price. And the reason is because it was a shopping center that mostly older people frequent. It was mostly people in their like 60s, it seemed like 50s, 60s, 70s. There were no younger people there. And because of that, the food court items that they sell were food items that generation would prefer more and prices that generation would be willing to pay. So they're not going to want to go to like some fancy, like they're just walking into the shopping center just to buy like some, different off-brand clothing or something like that. They're not going to want to spend like $30 on a meal. They're going to want to spend like, $5 to $10. So that's what all of the food there was. And the tteokbokki place, just because of that, gave large portions. So yeah, I got one of each thinking that, I'll get a full meal. I'll get, tteokbokki, sundae, tigi, maha. And it's like, no, it is like a full meal of tteokbokki, a full meal of sundae, and a full meal of the tigi, the fried pieces. It was a lot of food. Yeah. But no regrets. No regrets. I'm going to get a tattoo of that. No regrets. Spelled with R-A-G-R-A-T-S. Let's see. Nightshade says, with tani, do you show an emotional reaction to what the other person's saying or to them saying it? If you're talking about the regular form tani, so not ta, like ta tani, but just tani, that is simply your reaction to hearing it. So like you might think of it as to think that this happened or to think that this is. It's more of like that. It's just your reaction to it. If you're reacting to them saying it, that is ta tani with the quoting form, plain form with tani stuck to it. That's reacting to them saying it. Like to think that you would say that is what I'm reacting to. And I have lessons about those as well, live streams. I'm not sure when they're from, but if you search tani, you'll see it on my live stream Google document, which I will link in the chat. Hold on. Okay, I'll link it in the chat. There's a Google document with every live stream I've done. Yeah, okay, now it's in the chat. Blanca says, Pak Jinu on TT? Oh, TikTok, I guess? I thought that was like the Twice song. I'm like TT. Are they talking about TikTok in that song? Are they promoting? Was it a paid sponsorship with TikTok? I don't know. Says good Korean book recommendations. Okay. I might be interested in that as well, but I don't do enough reading in Korean. Like the reading that I do in Korean is a lot, but it's not novels. I don't read enough like fiction. I usually will read like articles, Korean grammar explanations, stuff like that. I'll read in Korean, tweets, watching Korean videos, but I don't read enough for like novels. So I don't know anything about like what popular novels there are these days, especially these days. Kai. Hi, thank you so much. It converted to 1064. So I'm going to give you 10.64 dabs. I'm going to do my best. First, let me do 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's the easy part. Now let's do 64. So let's see. Full dab is like that. So let's go up here. Okay, 50, 60. Okay, now I got to do 0.4, 3, 0.3, 0.4. That's like 0.4, 0.04, 0.05 right there. Thank you, Kai. Because I like round numbers, yes. Well, it is still a round number, almost. 64 is round. I get even, sure. I started learning Korean for fun, which is great, but I can't seem to think of goals to set since I didn't start learning for a specific reason, if that makes sense. Tips. So you're learning Korean, but you're not sure why you're learning Korean. Is that what I'm getting? So because of that, like you're just enjoying it, which is fine, but you haven't really set yourself a goal for it. Common goals for learning Korean would be if you have a friend or a specific person that you want to speak Korean for. Now that could be you really want to speak Korean so that you can meet your favorite celebrity someday and talk to them in Korean or write them a letter in Korean. Okay, that could be a goal. Another one though I think is maybe more realistic is traveling to Korea. You want to travel to Korea to experience the country and not be relegated to tourist-only activities. You want to do more than just what tourists can do. And there is a big difference between what you can do in Korea as a tourist and what you can do in Korea as someone who's not from Korea but speaks Korean. And I'll tell you, there are so many things that I do in Korea I could not do if I didn't speak Korean. I would miss out on most of the stuff that I do, even as being as a non-Korean. But I can't set the goal for you. It's whatever you're interested in. Some people say their goal is they want to watch Korean dramas without subtitles because they love Korean dramas. Okay. I think though more common, it would be something like traveling to Korea, or maybe working in Korea. That could be though not everyone can do that, but that could be a really big goal. Being in Korea for more than just a few days, like maybe taking a month-long trip to Korea or something like that could be a goal as well. But your goals for daily study shouldn't be based on that goal that you have, that major goal, because that's going to be like really intimidating. If you set a goal of, oh, I have to study Korean for 4 hours a day because I'm going to Korea next month and I have to learn. It's just going to burn you out. It's better to make daily goals that are easy to do. So, I mean, this sounds like really like nothing, but if you do 5 to 10 minutes a day of grammar study and like 5 to 10 minutes a day of vocabulary study, that's good. But that's not the only thing you're going to be doing with Korean the whole day. But let's say you sit down and you do like 10 minutes of grammar study a day. Whether you're sick, whether you're tired, whether you're on vacation, every day you do 5 to 10 minutes of grammar study. It's just study. You have a grammar book, whatever your lesson book is. That's it. You don't sit around for hours and do like 10 lessons. No, just 5-10 minutes. You do one lesson. Maybe you can get through one lesson or maybe you can't. And then on top of that, you study maybe 5 new vocabulary words. But you really learn those 5 words. Like you read them multiple times, you practice them, and you only do that for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes also. So now you've studied your 10 minutes to 20 minutes maximum. Maybe 10 minutes on the busy days, the sick days, the tired days, 20 minutes on the days you feel great. That's it. That's not a lot. That's not enough to get good at Korean. That's not enough to get conversational even, but it is enough to start. And on top of that little bit of studying you're doing where you're sitting down, you get tons of practice listening to Korean and as much practice as you can using those little bits of Korean that you learned that day. So you have your Korean lesson for the day, 10 minutes, you just spent 10 minutes and learned this form. That's it. Let's say you watch the abridged version of this video later and you learn this form in 10 minutes. Yeah, that's your studying for the day. Then you're not just going to, close everything and go back to the English world for the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of your day. You're going to be trying to somewhere use this form somehow throughout the week, somehow get some way to use this form so you can actually remember it long term. So you message your friend, something with this grammar form, like someone asks, you message them the food you ate and they said, oh, 맛있었어요? Was it good? 맛있어요? And you want to reply, 맛있긴 한데, 맛있긴 하지만, or 맛있긴 해요. Yeah, it's good. 맛있긴 한데 조금 비싸요. It's a little expensive. Or 맛있긴 한데 만들기가 어려워요. It's difficult to make, or whatever sentence you want to do. Just to use it once, just to get it in your head so that you can remember it long term. Try to watch some Korean shows. get some Korean listening, other things you can do throughout the day whenever you have free time. But just to make sure you're doing some sort of actual studying is really going to help versus just trying to talk with friends with no lessons to help you, no grammar to tell you what you should be trying to learn next, and no vocabulary to help you expand the things you can say. Just trying to, wing it, trying to learn it all from listening, and that's not going to work. It's going to be very difficult if you're not immersed in a Korean speaking environment, such as in Korea. It's not going to work. So yeah, I would set small goals, but make the goals that you're setting be effective and make them attainable so that you can do them even on days you don't feel like it. That way you don't have to break your chain. You can always do it. Or maybe you set it 5 days a week, right? You can always do it and feel proud of yourself that you're doing it, but it doesn't have to be so much that it inconveniences you. It makes you feel demotivated when you miss the goals like that. Okay. Traga says, Zandri says, I feel like when it comes to the dabs, you can keep the change. Well, all right. Traga says, what's the most convenient way to get to Seoul after landing at Incheon when you have big luggage? Just the bus. It doesn't matter how much luggage you have. The guys that drive the buses, I think they're all guys. I'm trying to think if I've ever had a female airport bus driver. I've had female bus drivers before, but I haven't yet had a female airport bus driver. I'm sure there are. Anyway, the person who drives the bus, they also help load in all the bags. So you just hand them, you're not going to load it in yourself anyway, because they don't want you reaching under there. Just put the bags right next to the side of the bus when you're getting in, and they'll pick them up and shove them in the back. It doesn't matter if you have 2 giant bags, they'll do it. I always have like 2 big bags when I go to Korea. The maximum size and the maximum weight. They just push them in the back. They don't care. And then they have like a little hook that they can pull them out with when they're in the back. So don't worry about it. Just take the bus. There is a way to get to the city from the subway, which I have done. If you arrive in Korea and it's like the location you're going to has so much rush hour traffic and is very difficult to get to by bus. So some locations in Korea aren't easily accessible by bus. It just depends. If you're in a location that doesn't have a close a bus station that's nearby to get to your room, you might want to try the subway. However, the subway I think is really annoying if you have to take it. So I wouldn't take it unless that's really going to save you a lot of time, because the subway, you have to hold your bags in front of your feet. And if it's rush hour traffic, there are going to be like tons of people around you, all like crushing in on you. And you're like trying to sit down with your giant bags rolling around every time you move. Or worse, it's busy and you can't sit down. And now you're tired from being on the flight, but you're holding your 2 bags, trying not to fall over, and they keep wanting to roll around. Just take the bus. Take the bus unless it's really going to save you a lot of time. And if you're wondering, how do I know if it's going to save me a lot of time? Well, it's very easy. You can use the apps. Kakao Map or Naver Map. I actually prefer Kakao Map, but some people prefer Naver Map. There are actually several other map apps as well. I recommend this one. Not paid sponsorship. But you just put in your address, it'll tell you exactly how to get there. Not just like walk this direction, but everything from like walk from here to the bus stop here. Take the bus from here to here, then transfer and take this bus to here or this subway. And it gives you options. So you can pick like, oh, this one takes the longest, but this one is easiest. Or this one goes to the main train station where there are more trains to get there. So this will be easier even though it takes longer. I don't have to worry about missing my bus. It all shows up there. So you can easily check. It'll say like subway is 1 hour, but bus is 45 minutes. Then, oh, take the bus. But if the bus is like 3 hours because you have to wait for the next one and then you have to transfer, but the subway shows up as being 2 hours, that might be worth it, saving an hour and holding your bags. Oh, Kai, thank you so much. I'll update this. 1564. Kai, thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kai said, I meant for your donation total being rounded. LOL. Oh, I see. Yeah, my donation total is now $97.70. Traveling and being able to experience as much as possible is the end goal. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, I think traveling is a good goal to have because it's tangible, it's realistic. It's not like, meeting your favorite celebrity may or may not be possible. And then even if you do, it's like a 1-second thing. You're going to talk with them for like 30 seconds and then say bye. And you might be too like, oh, I can't say anything when you actually meet them anyway. So, I mean, I don't think it's the best goal to have. I think better goal is like something that you could do more than once. Team Neighbor Map. Yeah, I used to use Neighbor Map, but these days I use Kakao Map because I don't know. I just started using it. Sometimes one of them will give you, they'll give you different routes. Usually it's not like they're all telling you the same thing. I don't know, just compare routes. Some things to think about though when you're comparing routes is don't just look at the total time because you might think, oh, this one is faster. I should take this one. Sometimes if you look at the actual timing, it only gives you like 2 minutes to get from this bus stop to this bus stop. And if your bus is 2 minutes late, then you miss it. And it ends up being much longer than this other route that would have taken you longer, but gives you a bus that leaves later. So also click the route when it gives you the suggestion, click into it and see what the actual timing is. It'll say like arriving by this time. And then when does the next one depart and how far away is that? So you can tell yourself like, is it feasible that I can run from here to here in case the bus is late? Like, does it take, and how long does it take to walk? It'll show you like, oh, it takes 5 minutes to walk here and then the bus will leave in 5 minutes after that. You think, oh, well, I'll have 10 minutes. Even if the bus is a few minutes late, which it won't be because I know that route, then, oh, okay, I can do that. But kind of think about it like that. Be careful when you're planning your route because it might be slower to take a faster route in case the bus is late. Like if it's during rush hour traffic, don't believe any of those arrival times. So I usually prefer the routes that take me through a major transit station. That way, even if I miss that bus, I know that the next one's going to be right around the corner versus a bus that goes to a random bus stop. And then you have to wait for the bus that only comes once every like 20 minutes or something like that, or 30 minutes. Sometimes there are stations like that where bus doesn't come frequently. And then you have to just stand out there with your bags for like 20 minutes waiting for the next bus, hoping that the bus stops. Oh, that's something else I should tell you. If you just wait at the bus stop, that doesn't mean the bus is going to stop for you. I don't have this happen too much, but sometimes it's happened where if you're just standing at the bus stop, the bus is going to just keep driving by because they don't know if you're waiting for that bus or another bus, and they're not going to want to waste their time by stopping and asking. Especially if you're a foreigner, they're not going to want to use English and ask, where are you going? They're just going to keep driving. So what you have to do is stand on the corner and hold your hand out like you're trying to hail a taxi. So when the bus comes, hold your hand out and look at the bus driver like, hey, I'm getting on. That way it's really clear. Now, you don't have to do this at like a major transit station because they always stop anyway. That's their final stop. But if you're at a regular bus stop and it's not full of people already, yeah, hold out your hand. And look at the bus driver, and that's even better, just to let them know that you're actually going to get on the bus. Let's see. Subway is hard with luggage plus the stairs. Yes. Now, if you look around the station, you will find a escalator, or not an escalator. Escalators sometimes are broken. You'll find an elevator at most stations. But you might not find the elevator easily. You might have to walk all the way to the other end of the subway station. Like you got off your cart, but not you got off the car, but now you have to walk all the way to the other end to get to the elevator. Or sometimes you'll get off the train or the subway station and you'll see, oh, they have escalators here. You'll take the escalator. Oh, that's easy with your bag. And then the next flight of escalators is broken. So you have to take the stairs. And by that point, there's no elevator, because now you're on the second level. So you can either go all the way back down and then go all the way over to get to the elevator, or just kind of pick it up and go up the stairs. So just keep that in mind, that if you want to do the elevator, you have to commit to it before you even try anything else. Like right when you start, look for the elevator. Okay, elevator, down, elevator. Then when you get off, only elevator. Don't bother like with the escalator or anything, because sometimes the escalators don't work. Elevators though should always work. Tragus says, I'm going to Itaewon. I'll arrive at Incheon at 8 a.m. Okay, but can only check into the hotel at 3. I was planning to stay today in Incheon, but with my luggage. Your hotel probably will hold on to your luggage for you if you ask them. A lot of hotels will have that as a service. You say, hey, can I leave my luggage here until I check in? And if it's any hotel worth their salt, is that what the kids say? Any decent hotel will do that for you. But yeah, so see how they'll do that for you. If not, there are lockers that you can rent at major stations. So I think Incheon should have them too. However, if you have a really big bag, they might not fit. These are for like smaller bags. So yeah, I don't know. But you can check. They might have a luggage, like a place where you can hold your luggage for a while. I'm pretty sure that the Hongdae station does. Hongdae station should have a locker that you can rent. Like they have some companies that have like lockers that you rent, but then you pay money for them hourly. So I don't know. If I had to hang out in Korea, Itaewon, I would just go to a popular place and sit in a cafe, because you can bring your luggage into a cafe, just put it right by your chair, get a drink, and just sit down for a couple hours and relax. Like, that's probably what I would do. You know, use my phone, hold my luggage, if the hotel says you can't. But if you're getting there at 8, you're probably going to be at your hotel like before 11, I'd say. So that's going to be 4 hours. They might take it. They might just let you keep the luggage there. Kai says, what are your favorite videos to make? I like making, I like my food videos. Those are fun to make because I just get to eat good food. I don't necessarily like editing those videos, but they're fun to film. I also like any video where I just get to hang out with someone and do something. Like we just go and do something. That's always fun. It gives me, it's like I'm doing something for fun I would do anyway, but I get to make a video about it. I like those too. But those ones don't always get the most views, so I don't do them too often. AADYA says, some video told me to switch your phone in your learning language if you don't have people to talk to. Is it helpful? So you're asking, is it helpful to switch your phone's language to Korean? It won't hurt, but it's not that big of a help, because the terms that your phone is going to use, like, do you need to know how to say like phone, like dim screen, volume controls in your regular life? Like uninstall app, change eSIM settings? Like some of them are going to be useful, like flashlight, settings, app. Like these ones are useful. So it's not useful. It's useful, but there are better ways to get that sort of immersion than just changing your phone settings. I think changing your phone settings is okay. That's one small thing that you can do, but it itself will not really do that much for your Korean studies. It's just, again, it's just a piece of all of the other steps that you can do. So watching shows in Korean, sure, change your phone settings to Korean. Okay. Until you have an actual problem you have to deal with on your phone, then change it back to English. But yeah, that's things you can do, small pieces of things that you can do in your daily life to help with your Korean. But yeah, it's not really a big thing. Enormosaurus says, will you be doing any live streams from Korea? You bet. But I don't know when the first live stream will be. I'll try to do one a month though. That way I'll do at least 3 while I'm there. But we'll see. Any requests for locations that I should live stream from? Probably one of them is going to be Suwon. Surprise. But I'm going to be in Seoul for the first month. So we'll see. Let's see. Aniki asks, do you have a favorite 사자성어? Let's see. I do have some that I like. There are some funny ones. 설상가상 is a pretty useful one. I don't really know if I have a favorite one, but I do have some useful ones I find myself using a lot. 삼척 동자 is pretty fun. Let me think. I guess I could do that one. Well, let me just make sure I spelled it right. I've always been using it this way. Yeah, okay. Just making sure I've been using it the correct way for the past probably 3 years since I learned it. 삼척 동자 is like 3척 is like a unit of height, a length measurement. It's like really short. 동자 is like a child, like a young child. It's like a short young child is what it really means. But this would be in English, we would say something like any fool, like anyone. And you can use this with the grammar form 이라도, like even. So like even a child, literally, like even a little child. And this is often used with the verb 알다. It's used with other verbs as well, but like 삼척 동자라도 아는 삼척 동자도 아는, like something that even a child knows. That's kind of a fun expression. The other one I was giving really quick. There are a lot though. I'm trying to think like, do I really have a favorite? 어부지리 is pretty fun. Let me just double check again. I'm not going to teach something wrong. Yeah, 어부지리 is like by default. Like everyone else loses, so just by default you win. I don't have time to go into all these though. I'm just giving you them and you can kind of, maybe I'll make episodes about this type of thing in the future. I think I have an episode about this. 설상가상 is like to make matters worse, like when it rains, something like that. And you can use this like 설상가상으로 or like 설상가상이다. Like it's always, you know, when it rains, it pours. 정말 설상가상이다. 이라고 하네요. Or like some 이라고 하는데. Like they say when it rains, it pours, and then something else happens. Or 설상가상으로 something happened that made things worse. Or I think regularly though, you wouldn't use this one, you just use 심지어. 심지어 is like kind of has a similar meaning, like to make things worse on top of all that. Let me think. Because like there are a lot of them I know, but I'm trying to think of like actual fun ones. Yeah, I'll just give you those 3 for now, but there are a bunch of them. Ria, I wanted to originally make a Hanja book. I just never really got around to it. And there's not actually enough demand for that I could do it. But more than that, it's hard to make that sort of book. There's just so much research that goes into it. Ria, thank you so much. Ria, how do I spell your last name? Via Crucis. Crucis. Thank you. I just got over $100. Yahoo! Yay! Ria, 5 dabs for you. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ria says, I love all your books and YouTube videos. 감사합니다. Thank you, Ria. 감사합니다. To you. Hold on. We have a question. Xander is talking about Seongsu and of course Hongdae. Okay. Hopegate says, is Korea accessible to wheelchair users and disabled people in general? Yes and no. There is a little wheelchair symbol you'll see on the buses when they're arriving on the screen, indicating if they have a wheelchair ramp. A lot of the buses in Seoul have wheelchair ramps these days, which is nice. So if you have a wheelchair, you're okay in Seoul. Most places in Seoul. But there are so many places that don't have an elevator working that you have to go down the stairs to get to. So if you're okay going down the stairs slowly while like, you know, holding a rail and going down the stairs slowly, I think you'll be okay, but it's going to be hard in some places because yeah, there might be a subway entrance that's right next to you, but there's a subway entrance that has an elevator, but you have to cross the street and walk down another block to get to it. So that's usually going to be the situation you're going to be in. So you can still do everything. Like, I mean, you can still go everywhere in general, but then when you get to the actual place you want to be at, the restaurant you want to go to has stairs, no elevator. So how do you get there? Well, you'd have to be able to go up the stairs. This is really common that you'll arrive at a restaurant and you have to go down 1 or 2 stories into the basement or up to get to the restaurant because Korea is very vertical. Kind of like what they said about Cyberpunk 2077 before they launched the game. Like, oh, it's just a vertical map. So Korea, so many of the buildings go up or down. So if you see the place you want to go to, it's not going to be at the ground level. Well, it could be, but there's also a high chance it's on one of the other levels. And to get there, they might or might not have an elevator. If it's in like a big department store building, you have elevators, that's fine. But if it's in an older building, they won't. So you'll have to walk up the stairs or down the stairs. So I would say overall, no, Korea is not very friendly to handicapped people or disabled people in general. But I know a lot of people, I don't know who, but in general, I heard there's a lot of people who have wheelchairs, but they can kind of walk. If you like have someone helping, in that case, you might be okay to still go up the stairs slowly. But yeah, it's not going to be friendly to you. Yeah, money for Korea, definitely. All of this is money for Korea. Stella's mom says, how fluent do you want to be? Oh, I'm not sure who you're asking. That is a good question, though, to ask yourself. How fluent in Korean do you want to be? Yeah. Lexica says, the one-shot Hansor channel. I think I might know who you're talking about because there is a YouTuber I know, a Korean guy. He's kind of young and he's blind and he's done videos about being blind in Korea. And he had one where he like walked the Seoul city mayor around some area blindfolded, trying to help him. He's literally the blind leading the blind. And he was helping him around, like cross the street and walk around just to kind of give him the experience of what it's like as a blind person. The experience of wheelchair users he knows. Yeah, like a lot of places it's possible to get around. It's just not convenient. I can't imagine that sort of life you would have to, in Korea, you'd have to have someone helping you out for a lot of that stuff, I think. Now they disabled community decks. Oh, with Memrise. Oh, okay. I've never used Memrise myself. I've seen it, but I've never used it for my own studies. I know Quizlet is another alternative. I just use Anki because Anki does have, you can still share decks with each other and it's free. So I'm not worried about it getting killed off because it's an open source program. Hopegate says, okay, not that different from where I live, so it's manageable as I can somewhat walk, just not for long. Okay, if you can walk, just not for long, you're going to be fine. The only problem you're going to have, if that's your situation, is going to be subway stations. Because it's really, really common that subway stations, you have to walk down like 4 stories. Sometimes there's one subway station that was like 6 stories. It was just non-stop escalators. But in that situation, they had escalators going all the way down and they had an elevator going all the way down. So usually you're going to be okay. But I think 1 or 2 stories is pretty common in most stations because you have to go under the ground, sometimes more or less. And in those stations, it's also equally common that the escalators won't work. So you'll have to take the stairs for a small section, but it's not going to be like the whole way is stairs. I haven't seen any of those in a long time. But yeah, you should be okay as long as you won't have to walk too much, but you might have some annoying situations where you have to cross the street just to get to the elevator. Yeah, because they won't have elevators at every entrance. It'll be like 1. And then when you get to the subway as well, it's like 1 part of the station has the elevator and everyone goes there. Carly says, I bought too much on my last trip to Seoul. I was struggling to drag my heavy luggage up the stairs at the subway. So a lovely older woman helped you. How did you feel when this older Korean lady is like, let me get that for you, and just lugs your giant suitcase up the stairs, puts it on the top of her head. Yeah. Those older Korean women are just so strong. It's scary. Let's see. Rick So Korean. Okay, I guess you're a Korean teaching YouTuber as well. Cool, welcome. Just judging by your name. Billy, what do you think is the most important thing for Korean teachers who want to teach Korean to foreigners? I think it's getting inside of our minds and trying to understand, trying to listen to yourself and how do you actually sound to a learner who doesn't easily understand what you're saying. Because on top of not being a native English speaker, you also have the difficulty of not understanding what we're thinking, like the ways that we think. So trying to like make a lesson and test it on yourself, like, would I understand this if someone explained it to me easily? Or do I need to add more explanation to it so that it's clear? And I would focus on making your lessons as clear as possible. I know that sometimes as teachers, it can be difficult to explain some things. So we just kind of leave it vague. Like, oh, this is used for emphasis. But like, what does that mean if a listener hears it? Emphasis? Like, what do you mean emphasis? So try to give examples. Try to be as clear as you possibly can. Now, there are going to be limits because things just don't 100% translate anyway in Korean to English or even in Korean to Korean. There are no like rules like how things exactly translate. But just do your best. Try to be clear. Don't be like vague to the students. Like, oh, this is used for this. I think so. Like, try to be as clear as you can. I think that'll be helpful. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give because that's what I always try to do. Ria says, how do I send donations? Well, you did. You did send a donation. I also have other donations that are through my website, but if you send one through my website, you have to let me know because I don't check my mail while I'm doing these live streams. Really quick notice for anyone who's just now tuning in, the lesson's over, but I'm taking questions and I'm going to be going to Korea from next month, from less than 3 weeks from now. I'll be in Korea already and I'm going to be there for about 3 months. So we won't have live classes for the next 3 months. This is the last class until I come back from Korea, which I think might be July 28th, which will be the next one if everything goes well. Ji-Hei Yu says, I'm teaching Korean and learning a lot from Billy. Nice. Welcome. It's cool to have other Korean teachers in here. And I learn a lot from other Korean teachers as well. Whenever I prepare for my classes, I always cross-reference what I'm going to teach with what other teachers have taught because I don't want to miss stuff. And sometimes I have the lesson, it's all done, it's perfect lesson, right? But then I'll watch someone else's lesson or I'll read another lesson to check. I'll be like, I should add that point. That's a really good point. Or sometimes it's giving me more insight about the lesson that I'm teaching and it's helped. So yeah, don't be afraid to check what other people have done. You don't have to reinvent the wheel when you're teaching. You can build on what's already there and make it better, make it your own. Okay, let's see. JJ Korean says, 월요병, 월요병. So your Monday blues, yes. 나 알려주시는 빌리 선생님. Oh, thanks. That's a nice compliment. So I wisp away his Monday blues. Make him feel better on a Monday. 그냥 진짜 팬이에요. Welcome, welcome. Do you answer questions while not in the States? Yes, I do. I am still active on all of my channels while I'm in Korea, and I will try to do regular streams while I'm in Korea, maybe once a month. Like it's not regular, but I'll do live streams while I'm in Korea. They just won't be classes because I won't have this board. I won't be able to prepare a lesson and sentences and all that stuff while I'm in Korea. But I'll do some sort of walking around videos in Korea where I walk around and talk and answer questions and show stuff. Something like that. Your English is so great. Oh. 잘하긴요. Oh. Yeah, I'm really good at English. 진짜 원어민 수준이거든요. 거의 원어민 수준이야. 저 영어 진짜 잘하거든요. 정말. 대단해요. It's amazing. My English is so good. So humble too. Yes. I'm way more humble than anyone else. Let's see. Let's check a few other comments and then we'll go for today. Let's see. Ayakat asked, what is the grammar form used in the phrase 잘한다기보다는? So that's the 기보다는 form, which I've done a live stream about that. And that is more than saying that I'm good or more than saying that someone's good at it. And then it's just used when you want to express a better way to describe something. Like more than saying this, what I want to say is this. I have a whole live stream about that. Search on my Google document or just on my YouTube channel for 기보다는 and you'll find it. Tragus says you were talking about Anki being free. Yes, it's free though. I know on the Apple iStore. Is that what it's called? The Apple, yeah, that App Store, whatever. They charge like $20 for it or something. That's because the Apple Store itself charges for being on their service, which is dumb in my opinion, but you have to pay for it on Apple. But it's free on every device other than that, just not on the App Store. You said free? What's free? Okay. 무료이긴 뭐가 무료? 뭐가 무료야? So what do you mean free? Free? Yeah, the verb, you still have a verb, 이다. 인정 and 하긴 are the same. No, 인정 is a slang expression that means I 인정해요. Like I agree with that. I recognize that. Like, yeah, oh, I'm on board with that. Like someone might say, oh man, Korean food is great and all, but the real star of Korean food is Isaac Toast. And then the other person might, oh yeah, totally. Okay, I agree on that. 그건 인정. Like, I agree with you on that. That's a different expression. If you said 하긴, that's like, I guess you're right. Now that I think about it, yeah, Isaac Toast is the best. So 하긴 has a different nuance than just saying, I agree. Agreed. Like the Captain John Picard in Star Trek might just say, agreed. Like that. That's 인정. That's the nuance you get. 하긴 is not that nuance. Arya Kim says, where can I learn Korean daily conversation? That's a good question. Well, I don't have a quick way to link it, but check out my channel. There's a new series called Korean Conversation Course that is free. And I already posted the first 3 episodes, and there will be a new episode every single week. And that is real, not like textbook style, like formatted, but actually just real Korean conversations with full explanations of everything. And the only thing you need to do that course is a beginning grammar foundation. So you can do my beginner course before that, which is free, or you can do any sort of beginner level Korean course first. But you just want to be able to know all the basics, like how to say, I think, or it is, or that is cool. You know, all the really basic sentence, asking questions, making simple commands. That stuff needs to be, that's the basic stuff. You need that before you can start going into real, full Korean level conversations. But yeah, it's on the channel. It'll be uploaded once a week. So there are 20 episodes in that, and it's completely free. There's also a book version of it, which I can show you. The video course is free, but there's also a book if you want to get all of the stuff from the video course, plus an extra 5 conversations on top of that. This book is not free, it's paid, but the free course has the first 20 and it's the same information, so you don't need it. It's just if you want more. And whether you have the book or the video course, they both have all the same information. They both have the same audio files. So yeah. Oh, Mafaz. Mafaz. I don't know how much that is. Hold on. I think it's like $5. Yeah, that's like $6. Let me give you 6 stabs. Thank you so much. And then I will read your message. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Getting some good exercise before I go to Korea. Have a good time in Korea and see you in August. August? Oh, you mean, yeah, when I come back. Yeah, August is when I'll restart these live classes. Very early August or the very end of July. Thank you so much. Letitia asks, do you have classes for TOPIK? Not classes. I did used to make a video series called Korean Test Preparation, which you can find on my channel. I have like 30 episodes of that or so. And those ones are TOPIK style questions, like test questions that you could find on the TOPIK. And they have beginner, intermediate, and advanced level for that. So if you wanted to practice for the TOPIK, you can try those. But I think better is just getting a copy of the previous year's TOPIK test on the official TOPIK website. You can just download them. I think it's like mastertopic.com or something like that. They have a website that has all the previous year's tests. You can download them. It's free. It's completely legal. They have the answer keys. So you can actually just take the test and then check yourself on it. I would do that. That's going to be the best way to prepare for the TOPIK, is not just learning Korean, but specifically learning the TOPIK, because the questions that they put on the TOPIK are not really how Korean people are going to speak to you and the questions they're going to ask to you. It's designed to be difficult on purpose for the test. So that's what I would do. Hetty says, are you a one-man operation? Do you edit and publish everything yourself? Yes, I have people who help me. For example, I have a Discord channel. Let me post that here. Where'd that go? Oh yeah, there we go. I have a Discord channel. It's free, but I have a couple of my friends who help moderate that. So they help. Whenever I write a new book, I hire an artist to draw the illustrations. I don't draw the covers myself. The design, I have someone who helped me make the cover design, although I did the design for the past 2 books, but normally I have someone to help me with that. So I have people who I hire to help me, but as for like who's in this room, who's editing my videos and filming, it's just me. Oh, sometimes my son, I'll have Jeremy hold the camera and he'll also film sometimes when we're doing collabs together. But yeah, although he just likes spinning the camera around and like zooming it in and out on his face. So I usually don't use him whenever possible. But yeah, it's just a one-man operation. I do everything myself. Besides where I have to have someone else help me. Yeah. But it's not like, I'm not like a company. I don't have any employees. There's no one that's like standing behind me, like holding my hand and telling me to write this or anything like that. It's just me. Kai says, what was the hardest part of learning Korean? So what is the hardest thing about learning Korean is that it never ends, because my goal always keeps increasing for how much Korean I want to know. At first, it was just, I want to be able to speak Korean. Vague, like, okay, how well? And then it was like, I want to be able to say everything I want to say in Korean. Okay, that's not actually that hard. And then, okay, now I want to be able to watch Korean TV shows. Okay, not too bad after that. And then now it's, I want to become so good at Korean that it's almost indistinguishable from a native as far as how much I can understand and speak. And I'm still on my way to that goal. That's a big goal. I don't think it's not possible to really get to a 100% native level anyway, but that's what my goal is now, to help push me to get better and better. The hardest part of all of that is just continuing to learn new stuff. I have to push myself to do vocabulary study every day. I have a vocabulary deck I've been reviewing now for, I don't know, at least over 3 years or something daily. And I still do that every single day. Anytime I see a new grammar form or any new word that I don't know, which I still will, but they're going to be obviously more advanced words, I'll make sure to learn them. I don't just skip over them, look them up and forget about it. I try to push myself to learn. I'll add it into my vocabulary deck. I'll try to use it. So just that, like the constant push to make sure that I can keep up with my Korean studies. And that's hard. It takes work. Minnie says, how many words do you need to know to go to Korea? 0. You do not need to know any Korean to go to Korea, because lots of people just get by speaking in English and making everyone else translate for them. And it works, but you're severely limited in what you can do. And it's going to be hard to make friends if they always have to translate stuff into English, unless they're a friend who just wants to practice English. So yeah, it's not the best idea, but you do not need any Korean to go to Korea or live in Korea. Hetty says, I work in post-production, so I understand how much work it is. It is a lot of work, yeah. Matterspec, thank you so much. Thank you. Kai says, would you devote as much energy to learning another language the way you have for Korean? Yes. When I studied my other languages, I did, yeah, pretty much the same thing I'm doing right now. In fact, maybe even more. When I did Japanese, I had a daily log where I wrote down how much I was studying and like what I would study for every single day. And it was averaging 3 to 4 hours a day of study. And then another hour or two minimum was practicing. So at that time, I'd go into chat rooms. If anyone remembers, like Yahoo chat rooms, those used to be popular. They used to have chat rooms for people where you'd practice languages with them. And I would do that for an hour or two. It's just nonstop reading and writing. I did that too. I didn't do very much for French though, I admit. That was just a high school class. And for Cantonese, I did also same thing, 4 to 6 hours a day. Yeah, I think so. It was just, I like learning it. I like learning the language as quickly as I possibly can. So I'd put as much time into it as possible. But looking back, I didn't need to do it that severely. I could have done less study time. I could have just studied for 30 minutes or so and then done a lot of just practicing instead. That probably would have been even more effective, but I didn't know at the time. Nightshade says, there are still new grammar forms that you're learning? Is there no end to Korean grammar? Yes, there is no end to Korean grammar the same way there is no end to English grammar. There are so many really specific grammar forms that you'll never use. I'll give you an example of one that I learned maybe 6 or 7 years ago that I've never taught on this channel. This is not the form you think it is. I think I even have this in my book. You can basically think of this as a if form. And I remember learning it first 6 years ago, but never ever hearing anyone actually use it. And then a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I bought this book. Yeah. I bought a book, this book actually, 4 years ago, and found it in here, and I was like, oh, I guess it is a regular form. I thought it was some rare random form, but yeah, it's a form that just means if. And it's for some sort of it's not just if, but it's if as a requisite for something. As there are many requirements, and if you take care of this requirement, if we have this going for us, that sort of if, it's more emphatic than just saying myeon, 하면, 거든. And it's not the ending form 거든요. That's a different form, but it has the same form. You'll never see this sort of thing, but yeah, I've never once encountered it outside of some textbooks and some writing, but it's a form, it's an older form. There's always new stuff. I'm just kind of demonstrating. There's always new stuff I can learn. Even if you don't see it very much, you can still learn it. And then after you learn it, you'll start to notice, oh, I did see it there once before. Yeah. Let's see. There are some other grammar forms that are just really specific like that, which you'll see them pop up rarely, and they're not difficult, but there are just a lot of them. Another word. My tablet. Another one that I learned 2 years ago, 통솔하. Oh yeah, I guess hae, this is not one that I learned recently. I learned this one a long time ago, but it has a lot of usages. 통솔 is the command or leadership, authority of someone. So you can say someone's 통솔 하에, literally ha is from the hanja, ha meaning below. So below someone's command, this would be under the command of someone, they issued they issued this sort of decree, that sort of usage. This is another grammar form, hae, under the something. It's used after a noun. Do we need a whole live stream for this sort of stuff? There's just too much. This is way too much stuff to go into for live streams. I would never run out of material for live streams if we only did advanced. Beginning stuff though, I've already taught everything for beginner pretty much, but for intermediate, pretty much also I've taught everything, but for advanced, there's way too much stuff. I've never taught everything for advanced. Carly said, did your knowledge of Korean help you learn Cantonese? Yes and no. The hanja was nice because I knew what the hanja meant, but I still had to read it differently. But the fun thing was just learning that Cantonese pronunciation is much closer to Korean than Mandarin pronunciation is. So, which makes sense because it's from Korean at that time would have been from dialects that are closer now today to Cantonese than Mandarin. It was from the way that Koreans read Chinese characters in Korean is from northern Chinese dialects in the Tang Dynasty, so around the 1200s-ish. There's not actually a date because they didn't have a meeting and said, let's hear the hanja. Hero, thank you. We'll say them this way. It was a long period of time, around the 1200, around there. when a lot of these pronunciations came into Korea. And those sounds are more similar nowadays to Cantonese than they are to Mandarin, which they don't even match up with at all. But yeah, Cantonese sounds a lot more similar to a lot of words in Korean that still have that, like the older Cantonese sounds still sound a lot like Korean today. It's kind of freaky. Let's see. Mafaz says, Mafaz asks a really interesting question. You say, I had a friend say Seoul is not good to practice Korean because even if you speak Korean to people, they reply in English because they too want to show that they can speak it. This is true. Most people in Seoul, can speak English. Wow. Did you know that? However, I'll also say most people in Seoul will not speak English, but most people can. And then a lot of them, especially younger people these days, a lot of them do speak it well because they've been educated in English since they were a baby. Everyone goes to school and they learn English from elementary school, from preschool. It's just a default subject. Like doing math. It's just, so anyone learning it today, they just learned it from school. So because of that, if you speak Korean and you sound like you don't actually know what you're saying, so if you're kind of at the beginner level, it's common that they might just reply to you in English because they know their English is better than your Korean level. So they're kind of like, I don't want to deal with this today. I'll just use English. It's easier. Plus, I want this person to know I speak English because it's kind of like, I don't want to get into this too much, but it's speaking English is kind of like what's the word? When you're trying to show off, it's what's the word? I can't think of the word. Like you're showing off. Yeah. What's that word? There's a slang word for it. Okay. Anyway, it's like that. So they want to kind of feel cool, and nothing is cooler than a Korean seeing other people looking at them while they're speaking English when they're speaking it well. And when Koreans see other Koreans using English naturally with a foreigner, they think, wow, that person's so cool. Flex. Thank you. Flex was the word I was thinking. I was like, it's like something with your shoulder. Flexing. It's a huge flex. Speaking English well as a Korean is a ginormous flex. It's been that way since way before I even started learning Korean. I started in 2005. Since then, it was already a flex. If you see a Korean person speaking English well, not poorly, speaking poorly, it makes them look bad. So if a Korean's English is very poor, they won't even want to try it because they're embarrassed about other people seeing them speaking English poorly. But if they speak it well at all, if they can have a conversation, they love to because it's a huge flex on everyone who might be looking at them. So if you're in a cafe speaking in English, with another Korean and other people hear it, that Korean is probably feeling like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you wish you spoke English like me. A lot. It's a thing. It's a flex. So because of that, when you're in a public area and you're speaking in Korean to someone, but it's poor, no offense, but because you haven't learned enough yet, you can't fully express yourself, but you're doing your best, right? You made sense. You know that they understood you, but it's in the Koreans' mind. Oh, they don't speak Korean well. They're still learning. They already speak English better, and they're going to be like, look, I'm going to flex on everyone listening, everyone looking in this direction. I'm going to flex. Oh, I can help you with that, in their best English. So you can get that though in every city, but in Seoul, it's much greater because it's more common that they get, I guess it's just they've had a more English education for longer, and it's less in smaller cities. So I learned Korean initially in Busan, which did not have that. So I didn't have to worry about that very much. Most people couldn't speak English well, but in Seoul, it happens all the time where I know that they can speak English. My Korean is at the level where they don't do that anymore, but I see foreigners in Korea, in Seoul, speak Korean to other people, and I totally understood what they said, but the Korean they're talking with will either they want to flex or they just don't, they don't want to deal with speaking English at all. In Korean at all, and they just want to speak in English over them. So and this is a really long answer to your question. So then you're saying she recommended, this friend you have recommended not going to Seoul, but to go to Daegu instead. That is a fun idea, But if you go to Daegu, you're going to have a whole other heap of problems. And the problem rhymes with baturi, but starts with an S. It's known as saturi. Saturi in Daegu is so strong. In fact, I would say that it's stronger than Busan. Yeah. Nowadays, Daegu saturi is very harsh, very fast. And if you end up speaking like Daegu saturi and then you go to Seoul, you're going to sound like you're speaking thick dialect. So the benefit, though, is somewhere like Daegu or Busan, there are fewer people who speak English as well, so you're not going to have that problem as much. The downside is now you're going to be having to learn dialect on top of your Korean. But if you're okay with that, yeah. I mean, it's a fun idea. It's not like I would recommend it to everyone, but if you want to learn dialect instead of standard Korean, you want to speak like you're from the countryside, then yeah, I think it could be kind of fun. And yeah, for me, I was speaking in Busan, so I tried my best not to adapt that dialect as much as possible, but I still unknowingly grabbed a lot of the traits of Busan dialect that I had to then erase from my Korean. Now I've gotten rid of it now, but yeah, it just takes extra work to get rid of that later. The best, though, I think, is that you speak in Korean, and if they speak in English back to you, just decide in your head, okay, I'm not going to be friends with this person because you have two options. When you speak Korean and they speak English back to you, you have two options. One is to just say, whatever, I'm just going to speak English now because they want to use their English. That's fine. They're going to help you out. They're going to have a fun time. They're going to flex on everyone. Option two is you say, no, I'm going to practice. I'm in Korea. I'm going to practice my Korean. 제가 혹시 그 공항이 어딘지 아냐고 물어봤거든요. I asked if you know where the airport is. You just go back and ask them again. You automatically kill that conversation and you're going to make them like feel embarrassed because they're going to think, oh, was my English not good enough? Or, oh, was I wrong? They don't speak English. Maybe they're from another country. Or, it kind of can make them feel embarrassed. Like they thought they're speaking English and being cool or trying to help you, but you've spoken Korean back to them, indicating that either you don't want to speak in English for some reason, maybe their English is bad, or you didn't understand their English, which is like, it kind of kills the mood. So you have to just be careful which one you decide. But there's not much you can do. Just know that for a lot of people, it's a big flex. So, I mean, that's not a problem though. Like I have Korean friends who I only speak Korean with, and they would not even want to speak English with me. If I tried to speak English, they would just laugh and be like, "But please don't, like that." And then there are other Korean friends I have who are happy doing like half and half. They want to speak English to look cool, but at the same time, they're not that comfortable in English, so they'll use Korean when it's just me and them. And then when we're in a public area, they kind of like using English again, to kind of feel, it's fun, right? Kai says, when my friend overhears me practicing my Korean, they're like, oh my God, you know so much. And I'm just like, no, I know nothing. They're just a lot of syllables. Mike says, Koreans love talking to English natives because we don't judge their English as harsh as other Koreans do. That's another true fact. Koreans are harsh on each other's English. Not that they understand what everyone else is saying, but if someone they're really harsh on the person's accent. Even if they don't know what they're saying, if it's correct or not, you can hear someone speaking English and know if they sound like they've really learned English or if they're just saying it with a Korean, like, I am very, very happy because weather is warm weather. That kind of speaking English, like other Koreans would hear that and laugh at them secretly. But so they can hear if someone has fluid sounding English or not. And yeah, Koreans are very harsh on judging each other just in general. You probably already know about that, judging people on their physical appearance. Huge in Korea. Also how their English sounds. Like, again, they don't know what the words they're saying necessarily, but how does it sound? Do they sound really smooth and fluent? But other English speakers were not. We're just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, thanks. Oh, what'd you say? Oh, yeah, of course. We're really tolerant of that because we're used to it. But yeah. Hopegate says, would Koreans look at you weirdly if you go to Seoul as a foreigner, but you use dialect? That's a good question. Yes, they would think it's funny. In fact, they would think it's so funny that 20 years ago, they would make you a celebrity if you spoke a dialect and you're a foreigner. In fact, up to like 10 years ago, still maybe today, if you speak dialect in Korean, but you're not from Korea, they think it's really funny. It's like, imagine, there was a YouTube video I saw of some Chinese American who had a thick Texas accent, but he was clearly from China, but had a Texas accent. And you watch it and you're like, wow, this is like kind of hilarious. I mean, yeah, he speaks English amazing, but it's so funny. It's the same effect in Korea, but magnified 10 times more because of how rare it is for a foreigner to speak Korean well in the first place. Add on the fact that they're speaking in a dialect and just, it's hilarious. So yeah, you'll see them on TV sometimes. There was a really, really famous Korean speaker from America who had a Busan dialect. And yeah, he was on television all the time back in the day. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. So they're not ignoring it. They're totally hearing when you use dialect. Now, if you use that dialect in their own city and they're old enough to use the dialect themselves, like if it's how they speak, they're not really going to blink. They're just going to be, oh, you're from here, like that. But it's not going to be like hilarious. It's just going to be like cool. But if you go and use it somewhere else, yeah, it's going to be pretty funny. So not in a bad way, but more in a, oh, wow, dang, check that guy out or check that girl out. Well, that's so cool. Kind of like that sort of way. But yeah, humorous, however you look at it. Let's see. If a Korean gives short answers, it means he wants, or he or she or they want to enter the chat. No, Koreans give short answers in general. I think that's a feature of Korea, the Korean language, and especially a feature of many dialects, like the Busan dialect, the Gyeongsang area dialects. So that's Busan, Daegu, Ulsan, all of those ones, and a few other cities. A feature of those dialects is that they make shorter sentences. So they just get straight to the point for a lot of things that they say. So you'll hear really short sentences for what they want or things that they're asking for. It's not that, it's just how they talk. I've already been doing this live stream now. I've been doing this live stream now for almost 3 hours. Is everyone doing okay? I'm having fun. How about you? Are you all having fun? It's my last class, so I kind of want to go a little longer. Keith says, 새 문법 항상 가르쳐 주셔서 감사합니다. 좋은 여행을 보내세요. Have a nice trip. Thank you. Let's see. Gabriel says, what do you mean on TV? Like doing interviews? I can't imagine. By on TV, I mean they'll have their own television show. That's what I mean. There'll be a featured guest on every single episode of a talk show. Like extremely popular. That's what I mean. I don't mean that you'll be featured in one interview and never again. I mean that they're going to get you back again and again as much as possible to show off your Korean on television. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so I'll be going to Korea in less than 3 weeks. And if you see me if I message, I'll probably post a picture when I'm in Korea. But yeah, 3 weeks from now, I'll already be in Korea. I'm going to be in Seoul, like I said, near Hongdae. I'll do a live stream while I'm there sometime next month, but I don't know when or where it'll be, but I will try to do at least one live stream a month. But again, it's not going to be a classroom. So if you want to learn more things like grammar and stuff, you'll have to wait until the very end of July when I'm back from Korea. Let's see, I'm doing homework while being here. You're doing homework. That's great. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can turn on my air conditioner while I'm in here. Let's go to 74. Can I try that? Yeah, I can do that. Okay. Yeah. One of the coolest things I did, I mean, it wasn't really a big deal, but when I first moved into this place is I got a $200 smart thermostat. It's so nice. I do not miss having to go downstairs and manually like check the temperature and like change it off when I don't need it. I'll just like set it to something and then it'll automatically turn off and save me money. It'll automatically not run when I'm on vacation. It's really nice. So I could just put it to away when I'm in Korea, and then the house will, get hotter, but who cares? I'm not here. So it's great. Okay. As Andrea says, I'm glad someone brought up the short answer thing. Can I request a Glass with Billy video where you talk about flirting? I'm a flirt and I got to do it in both languages to live. Yeah. Koreans like it too. Koreans, but yeah, it depends what kind you're talking about. But in general, you can do it in Korean too. But the types of things you're going to say are going to be a little bit different. But yeah, Koreans like that too. Older guys like being told by younger women that they're handsome or that they look cool or that they did something cool. And the same thing for girls. I mean, isn't that just a humanity kind of thing? Like you just like being complimented by someone you could possibly be attracted to. Yeah, Koreans are all totally fine with flirting as long as you're not like pushing it into something else. Like they know you're just kind of saying it playfully. It's fine. Yeah, I think you're going to be fine with that sort of thing. Again, depends who you're doing it to and how, like, words are going to be fine. Fisho says, you have a Japanese question. Okay, Fisho says, how many resources did you have for Japanese back in the early 2000s? There were already a lot, believe it or not. Japanese has been a popular language for a long time, since like the 90s. It's been pretty popular, but really popular in the early 2000s as well. There are a lot of books already when I was studying. Now, though, there are just a billion. But even back then, when I started, that would have been 2002, 2001, 2002, when I started learning Japanese. There were still a lot of books. However, there weren't very many online resources. There were like a couple websites that had various random lessons, but there was nothing structured that was online at the time. But there were lots of books, so you didn't really need it. Carly says, I'm an English teacher to high school newcomers. Okay, learning Korean from you has given me so much insight and empathy for my students. Koreans are great. They think differently. They're different. They have different culture, but at their core, they're cool people. They're just regular people. Hopegate says, it's been a while since the last grammar question. Can I talk a little bit about tago? When not used as a quoting form, but to give a reason or cause. Do you have a video about that? I know exactly what you're talking about. So I wouldn't be able to go into this though without doing a full lesson on everything because it would go over everyone's heads. So if it's okay, if I can just answer it really briefly to you in code that I think you'll understand, but it's going to go over everyone else's head who doesn't know this. For the toggle, for the quoting form, like something 이라고 or 한다고 like 도서관에 간다고, and then they did something like that. You can think about it as an abbreviated version of someone says something and does something, or because someone says something. But it's only spoken form. This is not a written form. This is only a spoken form for a shortened way of saying someone says and, but they omit the and because part. So you can think of it as meaning someone says something and then they do something, or they said something and they did something, but it's missing the 말하고. But it's the same thing. There are other uses though for the quoting form besides that. Another usage of the quoting form, and this is also taught in the new course that I'm uploading right now. It's simply used for emphasis, just for emphasizing the quote, the whatever it is that you just said. Literally, it's like, I just said this, or what I'm saying is, that sort of meaning, literally, but it's used for just emphasizing something. You just want to say something stronger. It doesn't have to be a quote. That's another way. You'll see it used like that also in the Korean course. I'm not sure what episode that is. Hey, Evolving Brain! Is there space? Yeah, there's still a little bit of space. There's a space for a few other people. And then we're going to run out of space here. Thank you, Evolving Brain. I'm going to give you some dabs for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. Evolving Brain asks a question. What concepts do you think are more sharply distinct or not distinct in the minds of Korean language speakers as a result of their language relative to English speakers? Oh, I can answer this. 피동사. There are actually a few other ways to say it. 피동사 is specifically passive verb. 사 is like some sort of verb or particle. 피동 is passive. Something, 피 is to itself, and 동 is verb or action. So literally an action that happens to itself. Things like this is a difference in Korean minds that is a way that they think differently. 열다, to open, like you can say 문을 열었어요, I opened the door, or 창문을 열었어요, I opened the window. 열리다, to be opened, as in it happens on its own. Like the door was opened. You're not saying you opened it or who opened it. You're just saying the door itself, who knows who did it, but it was opened. You know, you could specify, you could say the door was opened by me, but that's an awkward sentence to make. You wouldn't say that. Koreans don't use, first of all, they don't use passive voice in the way that we do. In English, we might say like, oh, the dog was fed by my uncle while I was in Korea. But like, we don't really need to use the passive voice. But in Korea, that sort of sentence sounds very awkward to use it at all. In Korean, though, they don't use the passive voice for that just because it sounds awkward. What they do use the passive voice for a lot, though, is they don't like blaming themselves for something that they couldn't do. Instead, they like saying that something else is at fault. I'll give you an example. 안 열리다 is the negative passive version of 열다, literally to not be opened. So if you say 문을 열었어요, oh, I opened the door, that means I opened the door. I was able to open it. It's on me. I opened it. 문이 안 열리다, like the door, literally the door does not open. What they mean when they say the door does not open is they mean I'm unable to open the door. But they would not say 못 열어요. I cannot open the door unless they want to emphasize like, hey, I am not able to physically open the door. 못 열어요. It's fine. Or 열 수가 없어요. I can't even open. I'm trying, but I cannot. But if there's something else at fault, they don't want to say I can't do it. Whereas in English, we will immediately say I can't, even if it's not our fault. It's just a way we speak. I can do it. I can't do it. In Korean, it's common to say passive voice if you can or can't do something, if it's not on you. So you're not gonna take the fault. You're also not gonna take the thanks either, I guess. It's both of them. If something happens or something doesn't happen, if it's not your doing. So someone might say, quick, open the door, help, come in here and help me open the door. And you can't open the door. They're not going to say, oh, I'm unable to open the door. I'm sorry, I cannot help you. Because that's like saying you're sorry for something. It's not necessary. You're just saying the door itself will not open. So it's more common that they use passive voice to say the expressions can and can't. Very common. Not 열 수가 없어요. That's like, I cannot open the door. I'm sorry, I have failed you. I cannot open the door. But you say 안 열려요, like it's not me, it's the door. The door is locked. I cannot open it, as in it will not open. 안 열려요. 문이 안 열려. The door will not open. 창문이 안 열려. Like it's not me, it's not that I'm not pushing it hard enough, it's that the window actually won't open. Now, it could just be that I'm not pushing the door, I'm failing and I can't open it, but I'm not going to say that. So that's a common thing, is that Korean uses passive voice a lot to say the expressions can and can't. Another example would be 되다. 되다 is the passive version of 하다, to do. So this is like to be done, to happen. And this is what they use for things that work or don't work. Like my phone, it's not that I can't use my phone. 지금 핸드폰 못해요. I can't use my phone right now. It's 지금 핸드폰이 안 돼요. Like my phone doesn't work. It's not me, it's the phone. Like that sort of thing. So that's why the word 되다 is used so much. 안 돼, 안 돼요. Like it's not, this is not going to work. Not, I cannot help you. I can't do it. Sorry, but 안 돼요. No, it won't work. So it's just really common for Koreans to use passive voice for can and can't. Another thing that's really common maybe this is probably actually more common, is not speaking directly, being overly polite just to be safe. Koreans will use more polite speech than they have to. So this is actually why it's really important that you know politeness levels, not just the yo form, but like honorific speech, the nida form, formal speech, all of that is important because Koreans will speak more politely than they have to if it's with someone that they're not comfortable with or they don't know very well. They always err on the side of being extra polite because they don't want to possibly start an argument or offend someone. They just kind of want to like, just go away. Like, let's just finish up this conversation. You know, I want to leave. I don't know you. You want to leave. You don't know me. Let's be as polite as possible. So it's more common to say, I think, 것 같아요, 것 같습니다, 것 같네요, instead of it is. So it's really common that people will say, blah, 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 I think, even though they mean, I know. Like, yeah, I think that the museum's actually closed on Tuesday. Like you're literally looking at the museum hours on Google and it says it closes on Tuesday, but you wouldn't say, oh, it's closed on Tuesday. You would say, oh, I think it's closed. I think it might be closed on Tuesday. 화요일에 문 닫는 것 같은데요? 잘 모르겠는데 화요일엔 문 닫는 것 같아요. I think that they close on Tuesday. You know it, but you're not going to say you know it. You're going to say you think it. So that's another thing is extra polite when speaking whenever you're not sure how to speak and not expressing your thoughts directly. This goes further though. When you're expressing your thoughts for I guess one common example is with the form 싶다. So this is if you're advanced, then you already know the form 싶다. 싶다 is like to think, like you're wondering if something, I'm thinking maybe, and they use this form often with the negative form, 지 않다, to not be. So like, 그렇지 않을까 싶어요. Like I'm thinking maybe it won't be, is what they mean to say is, I think it will be. Like, I think it will be, is they're saying, I'm thinking maybe won't it be? In that sort of sense, won't it be? Negative, but they mean it will be. It's really common that they go out of their way to be extra polite and soft when they speak. Like, I think maybe it might not be like that. I think, possibly, maybe, super polite, honorific, humble speech. So that's just one thing. It's not that they're trying to be, it's not that their personality is like they're a really polite person. I think you might misinterpret that and think, Koreans are so polite to each other. It's not that. It's just the way that they speak is to try to avoid confrontation. And my tablet just died. So I'm going to look over here for the comments. Okay. Just plug this back in. I'm now going to look this way as I read your comments. Let's see. Is ya a curse word when you say it when you're mad to your friend? Yes, ya is very bad. So... Ya is an expression you yell. It's just, hey, you, hey. Ya. This is just a word by itself. This is not the same as ya for like iya, for the 이에요, 입니다, for that sort of form. That's just casual speech. 나는 미국 사람이야. Like, I am American, like that. That's not the same. This is just the word ya by itself. I'll check the donation in a second. This is below the level of 반말. So this is actually one level below casual speech. Believe it or not, there is a level below casual speech that includes things like swears. It includes ya. It includes the word no for you. These should not be used with anyone that's older than you. It doesn't matter if they're your friend. You shouldn't be using these to them. The exception would be as if you're like in a romantic relationship with them, in which case you can use whatever you want. That's up to you and the other person. But for regular friends, you don't use certain lower, like extra low 반말 to people who are older than you, even when you're using 반말 otherwise. So yeah, it's not rude if it's used correctly. It's just like, hey, come on, hey. But if you use it to someone, a few years older than you, it's like, it could be a bit harsh. And no is really off limits. You would never use this to anyone who's even 1 year older than you, even if you're close friends. Even if they give you permission to speak casually, no. No is no. I got a donation. Oh yeah, I can't check it here. I have to see over here. Gray. Oh, Gray. Yeah, I do have room here. I'm running out of room. Gray. Thank you so much. Let me give you 20 dabs and then I will read your message. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, I can give you a few extras there. Gray says, I couldn't catch this on time, but I'm so impressed you're still going. You're the best, 선생님. Thank you so much, Gray. So nice of you. All of the donations for today, of course, are going into my upcoming Korea trip. I'll be there in 3 weeks. If you have any questions about Korea or traveling there or life in Korea, feel free to ask me. I will give you my honest answers about everything that I know. Stella's mom says, ya is not a bad word. Yeah, it's not a bad word. It's very familiar. Yes. So saying ya to just anyone other than your close friends or younger family will sound rude. Yes, it will sound rude. You also would not use it to your parents. Like you're really close. Even if you're really close with your parents and you're speaking casually, ya is not a word you want to use. Lexica says, it seems like I've seen 는 used to make things indirect. 말하는 거 뭐예요? Instead of well, you wouldn't just say 뭐 말하세요. You'd have to say 뭐라고 하세요. 뭐라고 하세요. What are you saying? 뭐라고 하시는 거예요? It doesn't make it indirect. I made a separate video about this on my channel. I don't have a link to it, but I have a video on my channel. Actually, you could probably just search it like this. 해요 versus 하는 거예요. Oops. Or hey versus 하는 거야. Search that on my channel because there's a difference in nuance. The really quick answer is the regular conjugation has more of an emphasis, slightly more on the verb. I do, or it is, versus 하는 거예요 has slightly more emphasis on the subject that is doing the verb. So I do it, or I am like that. And it's a very small difference, but it can make a sentence sound a little bit different depending on which one you're using. Are you talking about yourself? Like you want to add more emphasis to like, oh, it's something that I do? 한국어 공부는 하는 거예요. 한국어 공부하는 거예요. Like, yeah, well, I'm studying Korean. Or 한국어 공부해요. I study Korean. Like, is there a right or wrong answer? No, but there might be a right or a wrong nuance that you want to convey. This one tends to get used though, because oftentimes you don't need to emphasize the verb. So if you don't need to emphasize the verb, like you don't want to say, oh, it's cold. You want to say, oh, it is, I like wearing a jacket. You're saying like, I like wearing a jacket. You're not saying I like wearing a jacket. It's that sort of nuance difference. It's not a big deal. And if you use one or the other, it's still correct. But sometimes one or the other can sound a little bit more natural. But yeah, I have a separate video about that as well. Sandria says, I still have the habit of speaking direct often. Will they think I'm obnoxious or a know-it-all, or they'll think typical self-absorbed American? It depends what things you're saying are direct and who you're telling them to. In fact, younger Koreans might actually really like that you're being direct. Like a lot of younger people who are familiar with English in Korea are actually, and they actually admire the American or foreign, not just American, but English as well. That style of speaking where we can just kind of speak casually with everyone. In their minds, we speak casually with everyone, although, we don't. We also show respect to other people, but we do it in different ways, not just by the verb endings we use in English, which we don't have, but by the sentence that we make. If you're speaking to someone who you don't really know very well, you're going to make it, if you're making a joke with them, it's going to be very clear you're joking. You also tend to speak more clearly with other older people who you want, or other people in general who you want to show respect to. Oh, wow. Oh, I am such a huge fan. You speak very clearly. You want them to understand. We're more understanding that the other person might not understand us. So we want to make sure we're really clear about what we're saying in every way. We're not going to be using as much slang to people who we're not close with, right? You go for a job interview, you're not going to be like, what's up, bro? Like, it's just weird. So we do have those respect levels in English, but they work completely differently. In Korean, though, as far as they know, everything we use in English is 반말. So a lot of Koreans actually really like that, especially younger Koreans. They secretly wish, a lot of them, that they could also kind of just speak casually to everyone and just kind of, have that sort of close relationship that we have in English, just because it can kind of get difficult. Like, it's frustrating that you have to be extra polite to people sometimes. You just kind of want to be casual and talk with them. So if you're speaking directly to them and they know, obviously, you're from another country, they might like it. I mean, they might be like, oh, it's like a fresh of breath air. You know what I mean? Breath of fresh air for some people. But you'll be able to tell if they're uncomfortable or not. If they are like, honestly, like engaged and like happy and listening to you, they're fine with it. If they're like, like you can tell they're kind of like, they're sitting back in their chairs and they're not like, trying to engage with the conversation, you can guess that they're a bit uncomfortable. That's just, universal kind of body language there. And again, it depends on what you're being direct about. Like, are you saying like, I do not like you, you look funny, haha. Like, are you saying something mean direct? Or are you just expressing your opinions direct? In which case, that's fine. A lot of people actually do like sort of just honest, like open, direct conversation with other people, I found. And that's not exclusive to younger people, but some older people as well also really like just having a direct conversation. The last time I was in Korea, I remember I talked politics with the taxi driver for an hour, a straight hour in his car. And he was saying like, he's always, I just really like this kind of conversation that I wish I could have this with other people because I don't want to just like, mince words. I don't want to like beat around the bush. I just want to talk directly. And he's like, you can just tell me your honest opinion. I was telling him some stuff. He's like, oh yeah, I totally get it. You're totally fine to think that, just really respectful. So not everyone will speak indirectly to you as a Korean learner. This is what they will do to other Koreans though, because they can't do this with other Koreans. It's ingrained in the society, in the culture, but you're not. You're outside of Korea. So sometimes they might kind of have a little bit of fun with that. Speaking a little bit differently, or they might be more direct toward you, but they would never do that toward another Korean. So that's where you can sometimes get problems as well, where some Koreans might immediately start speaking to you casually. They'll use 반말 right when you first meet, and you'll take it as being really rude. And the Korean, to them, they're thinking, finally, I'm just going to speak casually. I really love how English people only speak casually is what they're thinking in their minds, but it actually sounds rude. And they would never speak that way to another Korean. So yeah, there's some problems that can come out of that with the misunderstanding, but just know that it's not going to be a bad thing necessarily as long as you're not saying something mean directly. If you want to be direct and just say, man, this tteokbokki is like the worst I've ever had in my life. Just being honest, like this place is the worst. They might actually tell you, oh, really? I actually didn't like this place much either. Or I thought this place is too salty, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want you to think, I took you to the wrong place. They might actually really like that sort of open communication. Just opinions, observations, totally fine. In fact, if you're saying something, okay. This is a big culture difference. How do Americans and probably other countries as well, how do we like to connect with other people? We like sharing, this is American point of view, probably other countries too. We like sharing our common interests. What are your hobbies? Oh, did you see that movie? Oh, that was an amazing movie. Oh, I loved that. Oh, what about this? This is amazing. Oh, this is my job and I am a very important businessman. What is your job? Oh, that is a very important job too. I really like that job. Like. I love it. I'm interested in it. We like to connect with other people being positive, right? Now, this is not a jab at Korean culture, but I found that Koreans don't like that so much because it can come across as bragging. When you're saying you have all of these hobbies, you have all of these interests, you like all of these things, you just went on a vacation to Spain and then you had this amazing food and then you came back home and you went to a spa and you got a massage and you had this other food and you met your best friend. It sounds like you're bragging to many Korean people because they don't do that. They don't get that kind of lifestyle with their work. It kind of sounds like off-putting, and they're working 6 days a week or whatever, 5 days, 6 days a week. They don't have much free time. And all they hear is you talking about how amazing your day was and how many things you like and what you love and all this. And some people will connect with that. They're easygoing and they like that. And some of my friends are like that too. A lot of Koreans like to connect on common dislikes, which sounds counterintuitive. Like, doesn't that sound like a miserable experience? No. It's just because that's something that they can easily relate to without it feeling like they're bragging to each other. Like, of course you're going to have good days and bad days. But we like to ignore, when we're speaking in English with other people, we like to kind of ignore the bad things that happen. We don't like to share with our friends the bad things that happen all the time, right? Because our friends will think, oh, all they do is complain. Like every time I talk to them, they're just venting to me. I feel like I'm their psychiatrist, right? We kind of feel like this. Koreans kind of like that sort of, I'm not speaking for every Korean, I'm just speaking in general. They like to connect over, man, I took this, did you have your classes the other day? I had that teacher last semester. Oh, that teacher was the worst. Yeah. Oh man, did you have to do all their homework? Oh yeah, they gave way too much homework. Did you see that movie? Oh, that movie was terrible. Oh yeah, I hated that movie. It was so dumb. Oh, the director did a terrible job, or the acting was awful. Did you hear how that person spoke Korean? Haha, why did they do that? They like to connect. It's fun. You like to connect over things that you can complain about. It's just a different thing that they like to do. So you might find, I know your question wasn't really about that, but you're saying about kind of being direct and stuff like that, that if you are honest about things that you like and dislike, you might find more connection with Korean people than if you try to protect their feelings and tell them that you love everything. Because as a visitor in Korea, you might feel like, oh, if they ask me, how do I like this Korean food? I gotta say it's great, even if I don't like it, right? You don't want to insult them. Now, if they cooked the food, no. If they cooked the food, no. You love it. It's the best whatever you've ever had in your entire life. If you're going out to eat though, you're doing some activity or you're just talking about things, just be honest. Like you can say what you like and dislike about Korea. When they ask you, why are you in Korea? You can say, oh, I did this and this. And they say, oh, what do you like about Korea? What do you think about this? Just tell them honestly. Like, oh, I really like this. And then say, oh, but I didn't like this or something. Like they're not going to have their feelings hurt. They actually might like that more because then they have something they can talk with you about. Especially if it's something that they don't like too, right? You might say like, oh, I went to McDonald's in Korea, but it was like way too salty or something. It's kind of the same in the US. But for example, you can say, oh, I had this one item at this menu and I really didn't like it. It was too salty. They might say, oh, it is, yeah, it's pretty salty. I actually recommend this place instead. And they kind of connect with that. They're like, oh, okay, I see. Let's talk about this because I can kind of connect with that too. I don't like that either. And if you're only talking about good things and good things and good things, they might think that you're bragging or you're not being completely honest. And they do like honest conversation, just like we like honest conversation in English. So we're not really that different. It's just our lifestyles kind of lead us to talking about different things. But as a people, we all like, Koreans and Americans and all countries, we all like talking about things that we like and dislike. We all like having honest conversations with each other. But yeah, you might find that you can have a lot of dislikes in common with people in Korea, and it's in a good way. Traga says, we French are the best at oh yes. Yeah, French, if like you'll see like a million French people protesting outside and it'll be in the news, like France protests, blah, blah, blah. And you go to France and it's like a Tuesday. It's like, yeah, that's the French. Kai says, I've got to go, Billy, but thanks for the class and hanging out a bit longer. I hope you have an amazing time in Korea and eat to your heart's content. Thank you, Kai. Where's your name? Oh, here you go. Kai, you have paid for a very big meal for me in Korea because $20 goes a long way at a restaurant. You can get a lot of food for $20, like almost enough for two people at some places. Thank you so much, Kai. I'll take a few. It's like almost 5 o'clock. I need to go, but you're all still here, and we're all having fun. So it's hard to go. Bonding over common dislikes feels natural for us. Yeah, but I'm just saying a lot of people kind of are afraid that they're going to hurt people's feelings if they say anything negative about Korea or anything that they're experiencing. No, Totally fine. And they want to know, what do you think about their country? They don't want to only hear the good things. Now, some people might, but in general, they actually want to know. You can tell them like, oh, the place that I'm in is just so small. How do you use these showers? And then they might go, ha, 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 yeah. Oh, that's right. I know lots of people have trouble with that. Usually I do this or something like that. Like they're not going to take it personally. They didn't build your apartment. Like they didn't create Korean food. They're experiencing it all with you, and they really want to know, what do visitors to Korea think? So yeah, it's fun. Just be honest with people. Now, there are going to be situations where you do want to be extra respectful as a foreigner. Again, this is as a foreigner. Like if you're saying something that you actually think could hurt their feelings, then you need to be extra respectful about that. You don't want to just be like, man, I think you put like, this is like way salty, bro. Like you made this way too salty. Then you might want to be like, is it just me, or I guess Korean food's kind of salty, haha. Then that gives them a chance to kind of say, oh no, I must have made it too salty. You're like, oh no, I don't think that. I mean, it's good. It's still good. You know, you kind of have to be careful how you don't want to step on too many toes. But in general, yeah, you can be honest. How does that change? Oh, Mafaz asks, how does that change the concept of being polite? No, you're not. Yeah, you're not going to be complaining to them. But you're not going to have a conversation where you just say, oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate this. Oh, don't you hate this? Like, what kind of conversation is that? I just mean, if they ask you a question about something, you can be honest about it. But you're not going to be saying it in casual speech anyway. You don't have to say, like, if they say, oh, what do you think about Korea? Like, oh, Korean food's terrible. Korean food's, you're not going to say it like with 반말. Oh, 진짜 싫어. Like that would be rude in itself. But you might want to say something like, 생각했던 것보다 한국 음식 좀 짠 것 같아요. Like you could say, I think it's a little salty. Actually, Korean food isn't that salty, but the side dishes are salty, but the food itself is not. So you might say something like, oh, Korean food is not as salty as I thought, but the side dishes, they're really salty, I think. You're still polite, but you're still also being honest. And then they can also agree with you. They'll say, oh yeah, they're really salty. That's right. And you can say, oh, especially kimchi, but I eat that so much. And then they'll be, ha ha ha, yeah, kimchi's my favorite, because everyone likes kimchi, almost. Most people. Billy, it's not related, but I struggle a lot with my vocabulary. Do you have any advice for me? Or sometimes I feel like I know lots of words, but can't make full conversations or sentences. You can't make full conversations or sentences. It's hard for me to judge exactly what the issue for this would be. But if you can't make full sentences, then I don't think the problem is your vocabulary. The problem is your grammar. If you can make full sentences, I would answer this differently. But if you said you can't, I wouldn't worry about vocabulary then yet. I think you need to first focus on your grammar. Because when you have basic grammar, you can make full sentences. They'll just be very short, but you can do it. And then when you can make sentences, but they're really short, then I would say focus on vocabulary. But yeah, for your point, I would say don't worry about vocabulary yet. I would say go back and try to do more basic grammar, conversational grammar. If you're someone who's already learned all the basics though, then try going into like regular conversations. So like I have a course for that now. I didn't have that before. Before I had this course, I would probably say watch lots of Korean TV, and that's all you can do. But now you can watch lots of Korean TV, and you watch my free course for conversation. There are 3 episodes so far, and there will be 20 by the time it's done. Natalie says, I've been giving myself a pedicure the past 30 minutes. Nice. I've never got a pedicure or a manicure before. I would like to sometime. Elisa says, I struggle with that same issue. I'm struggling with conjugation in Korean, and I've been studying. What am I, Ned Flanders? Struggling with the conjugation. Yeah. You've been studying for about 2 years, but you're struggling with conjugation. That's normal. The only way to get fast at conjugation, so you're talking about like Yule form or just, conjugating the verbs in general, is just doing it a lot. And the only way to get fast at that is by speaking it a lot. You're not going to get fast at it by just listening to lots of Korean and writing it in your book. You have to be using it. So at the end of the day, getting to a fully conversational level has to include some sort of speaking practice, regular speaking practice. There's no way to get around that. Unless well, actually, if you're growing up in Korea as a Korean kid, you're going to get that. But as a learner, especially, eventually you need to have regular Korean practice in order to get these concepts solidified. Otherwise, you're just going back and forth, reviewing, forgetting, reviewing, forgetting. Like, I love grammar, but my sentences are so short and boring. Then you would need to work at vocabulary from there. And vocabulary is going to come from first taking out the most common vocabulary that you hear in conversations, but not from a list, because that won't tell you the context. It won't get you any of the nuance of those words at all from a list, but listening to lots of conversations. So that's why I recommend watching Korean YouTubers. When they use words that you can kind of recognize, or you think, oh, I know that's a vocabulary word, I should look it up. Look it up. If it seems like a word you might ever use, write it down and study it. That's pretty much all there is to it. Because you don't need to learn every single word in Korean ever used. You just need to know, at least start with the ones that are the most commonly used. And there aren't that many. There are only I did a video about this before. There are only around 3,000 in English as well, and in Korean too, were unique words that get used commonly in a conversation. And that's 90%, more than 90, I think 95% of the conversation is going to be that same set of 3,000 words. And the other 5% will be those random words that, can extend up to 12,000, 20,000 words. But it's that bulk is all going to be the same 3,000 words. And you can learn those in just a year or so. Hey, Hope Gay. Hope Gay, thank you so much. All the proceeds from today's live stream go directly to my Korean trip. Thank you, Hope. Thank you again for this live. I'm always learning so much with them between grammar and culture. Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to do that. I don't want it to end because I'm having fun and I can't do another Korean class until I'm back from Korea. I'll do live streams though, so don't worry. I think I should end it today though, because I have to edit this video. It's now 5 o'clock. I've been streaming for 3.5 hours. This is the longest I've done in ever, I think. Let's see. I hit the 3,000 words in Anki today. Awesome. Gray asks, when will you be back from Korea? I'll be back from Korea the very end of July. So that's why I'm saying I might be able to do a live stream after I come back. If I'm not too jet lagged, then July 28th. If I am too jet lagged, then it'll be the week after that in early August. I think that's August 5th or 6th or something like that. Zesty says, earlier you mentioned that the dialect closer to Busan is more direct. Yeah, any of those dialects in that whole region, Busan, Daegu, Ulsan are the representative cities in Gyeongsang-do, that province. What other differences have you noticed compared to the northern regions near Seoul? Most of the northern ones are similar to Seoul, for the most part. There are speakers of the other dialects that are much older that will have a much more distinct style of speaking, but for the most part, all of the northern area speaks similarly. And then the southeast side has a specific way they speak, and the southwest side has another specific way that they'll speak. But yeah, in general, the north side's all kind of more similar with how they speak. Okay, I think I'll go up. I think I'll stop here. Thank you to everyone who's come to this live stream. Again, this was the last live classroom until the very end of July. Thank you again to the people who have supported this stream, who've helped me to pay for keeping on the lights and everything like that, and helped me to go to Korea. Glass artists today: Aniki, Traga, Zandria, Hopegate, Flo, Purdy, Kai, Ria, Mafaz, Evolving Brain, and Gray. And thank you also to everyone who subscribed, my Patreon members. If you're a Patreon member, remember to get the outline. This will be up as soon as the stream's over, as well as you can get the worksheet, which is already on there. Thank you for coming, and I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.